So it's 10:59. That's race to 5'9", 10 toes down off of a 313 knock to a Chief Pontiac. That's Detroit versus everybody, because Jacktown got your back. This is Slim Shady production. Questions and answers about the culture. So um, I'm going to take questions, but I want y'all to try to stick to cultural questions, right? Um, if you want to deal with more personal matters, you have to inbox me or video chat with me on Instagram or Facebook, whichever one of the platforms that we linked on. But we're gonna answer some questions about the general culture of the tribes, like things that we used to do that we still do, but we didn't know that we still do those things that was already in our culture, even with the foreign cultures permeating the land like a cancerous growth. We still practiced our culture out in the open in everybody's face. Some examples is Mardi Gras for the Big Easy, Cinco de Mayo for Mexico, um, the Chicago Steppers, right? The California Sea Walkers and Bee Walkers. All of these things is our culture that when you take it away from us, being who we are and being genuine to who we are, all of these artistic expressions come out in the mainstream society as a dance craze. Soulja Boy, Memphis on the map, right? When he come out and did all of their children was doing this Superman. You know, some people think it was destructive to hip hop, but it was directly reflective of the culture because it spoke to the hearts of so many children that then it spilled over into the adults. So now you got full grown adults in nightclubs doing the fucking Superman like it's like it's a adult dance. It was done to unify the children and using the spirit of the art, right? Now y'all looking all in my closet. So we're gonna take our first caller, Maximos Power Time. Um, well, while I'm waiting to see if they make this connection and he come in, October, we got a lot of stuff being revealed that the average person is not seeing. Like they had the Crystal City was spotted. They called it Project Bluebeam, but it wasn't. Nibiru is been over Michigan for a couple of nights, and they've been photographing the dust trail, the red iron oxide. And I just got a all passions knock on the sun, SUN, being symbolically on the cross in the imagery of the dust cloud forming what appears to be a cross going behind the sun. So that's a crucifixion of the sun, 3 days to a resurrection on a return. So all these is like spirit codes. We see them in the physical world. The average person, they don't mean nothing, right? So they never let him in. We'll try it again. Yeah, let him in this time. Peace,
Yo,
God.
yo, what's up? What's up? What's up, Peace Chief? What's up, man?
What's going on with you?
Yeah, shit, man. You know, I've been trying to get with you. You know, we got to unite the tribes.
Yeah, I can see it in your
You
face. You
know,
one of the Eagle Clan.
I've been on a journey, man. With my mom's right now. We on our way headed to South Carolina.
What's your totem? You know what your totem animal is?
Nah,
You look like you like from the bird clan, like
from the
your
bird clan,
totem animal should be an eagle
an eagle,
or
right?
a hawk. Yeah.
That that's what I was saying, hawk, because I found
Mm.
the hawk feather.
Yeah. They talk to you. You
Shit, right?
you
Hey, look,
see them. You see your totem animal in visions. You know you gotta be cautious with that because they don't want us having no hawk and eagle feathers. Them motherfuckers lock our ass up.
I already know, and that's how they
Standard.
distinguish us.
Yeah. When they see us practicing our culture, they institute laws to bar us from practicing that part of the culture, right? And so if they already know what you're gonna do, they make it illegal. So when you do it, you doing it because it's your nature.
Absolutely.
No thought involved. Following your culture, being who you are, but they made this part of it illegal. That's how they declare war. Every warrant is a war rant, an ongoing declaration of war on the chiefs, the princes, and the people of the land.
And I feel it running through my blood.
Mm-hmm.
I feel it. I've been having ascension symptoms and everything due to it. You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Everywhere I go.
Just remember, the tree is the most stable energy.
I,
If
I know that's what I be doing. I grasp the trees for my energy and I
you
speak to
got
them.
chakra in each one of your palms, you got a
I see them, right?
chakra. You got chakras at the bottom of both of your feet.
I know I heard Dr. B speaking on that earlier too. I know that was you
Right.
speaking. No, that's an old live I was watching earlier because I was putting my step pops on to it with you and Dr. B. And y'all was speaking about the chakras at the bottom of the feet. That was with you,
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Phil, and Brother Rich
Now
in the
remember,
B series.
one side of your body is the sending and the other is the receiving, the same as the poles on the battery. When you put your feet to the earth barefooted and your palms to the tree, you just grounded your energy to the most stable two sources known to man.
And I feel like that's the only thing that really gives me that my true energy and let me know that I'm on my right path. The earth speak
Mm-hmm.
back to me.
Do you remember about 25, 30 years ago, they had all these pale faces chaining themselves to the trees, trying to stop them from cutting them down. They was camping out in the tops of trees, trying to stop them from chopping them down.
Yeah, that was like a
They
part of
was
the Save the
calling them
Tree movement.
crazy. Yeah, and they was calling them crazy tree huggers, right? They could not control the impulse to protect the forest because the trees know who is willing to put their life on the line and protect the forest. So the vibration go out to Mother Earth and the ground. She say, send these people over here that is going to put their life on the line and protect the tree. They couldn't control that shit. If you're going to
Yep,
be on the land going to use you where it needs you.
I know, and that's what the land been doing me. I'm from New York. I'm from Brooklyn, but I'm down in Jacksonville, Florida right now because the land called me down here to my
That's the,
ancestral land. You know, reclaiming my birthrights on every part of the land. Before I got down here to Jacksonville, I was in San Diego, so I went from Brooklyn to Jacksonville to San Diego, back to Jacksonville. Now I'm about to head to South Carolina to another part of our ancestral lands. I feel like I gotta lay my feet on all of the ley lines and like receive all of the grid energy from the ground and from the trees, wherever they call me.
look, you zigzagged across the land in a specific pattern.
I
It's your
came
life.
down from New York, shot it all the way back across to San Diego, shot it back, went through everything And mind you, I took it on the Greyhound, so I shot it back, and then came back down, and then I just went back up to New York, and then came right back down. Went back to
Okay,
the Bronx, and came right back down.
this is what the chief's supposed to do with that. You travel in the land for a purpose. This is the critical part of the culture we have to remember as we teach the young chiefs how to reclaim the land. You put a sigil on the land because Big Mama driving your energy. Now
Absolutely.
you get the map and you get you a clear sheet and a dry erase marker. Draw the sigil. Follow the points that where you travel to. It's gonna make a sigil. Once you get the sigil, first you do an image search because you might find out that the sigil already exists somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? If that is, that's called an ancestral message. You have to study it. Only you can tell you what it really means because it's your sigil. I could tell you what it looked like to me, but you're the only one can give it the definition because it's your life path pattern sigil. Your life path is the journey that you travel. Right?
Absolutely.
You was told to make certain stops. Those are called key places. When you stopped in the key places, you had to reside for a minute.
Yeah, they did that to me when I went through Texas. They made me stay in Dallas for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Then when I went through
So
Tennessee, they made me
everywhere
stay
you
in
had
Chattanooga for a
what's
little
called
while.
an unexpected extended stay, that's a dot on the map in the journey. So like, let's say you were supposed to pass through Texas and you supposed to just stop to get gas, but you end up being there for 2 days, right? That's how she holds you to put another dot. Now, later on, it's going to be some other chiefs that you ain't never met before that's going to be doing the same thing. They going to be doing it by either another elder that they talk to tell them, but y'all going to have the same sigil, but y'all going to be to touch different parts of the land.
Absolutely. And that's how
Right.
crazy a part of this part of my journey is, because this is like a part of my journey. Like, I'm with my moms right now. You feel me? I got taken away from my moms when I was 5 years old. I found my moms back on my own when I was 14. So I'm with my moms right now. Mom, say what up to Rod.
Hey, she kept up the speaker. I can't hear nothing. I can hear you now.
Okay, blessings to you. I'm always ahead of yours. I'm always putting Florida water on you on TV. I'm always touching you. I'm always praying for you. I love you, and I thank you so much. I thank you so much. You something else.
How can I lose with that kind of love and energy
I know
behind me?
that's right. You can't. But I'm telling you, you've been with us every single day on this journey. Like my son told you, we've been all over getting all these downloads. We've been even sharing what we have and leaving the things behind that need to be left behind. So you see, grandma, she go everywhere with us right here. That's the matriarch right there.
Mm-hmm.
South Carolina. And so she is the one that's giving us all our clues, giving us our fire and everything. But most of all, the love for ourselves.
So your son said y'all going to South Carolina soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a Gullah Geechee family there. I don't know who they is, and you don't know who they is.
Okay.
But this is what you're going to ask for: the big mama with the chocolate skin and the white hair.
Big mama with the chocolate skin and the white hair. Okay.
Right. You're going to know that it's the right one because she's not going to look old, but her hair is going to be snow white.
Makes sense.
Right. And she's going to give you your mission, your purpose.
Okay.
in restoring the matriarchy.
Yes.
Now, she might not talk straight English to you. She might talk coded to you.
Maybe like this. Kalbania sotu diatakata majo. Bobiata hatsata koto niata jatototo. Aniato uva sakaniata. That's what I got.
And then when you
Those are the
talk to her
divine
like that,
language.
she gonna talk to you back just like that, straight.
Yep.
Because
Yep.
she'll know that you remember the old ways.
Yes. Yes.
And then she gonna know who sent you.
This is going to make everything exactly worth being back in this round 4. After having 9 children, I'll have 8 grands. I'm 52 years old, born and raised in New York City, so you already know what I've been through. Okay, penitentiaries, drugs, anything you could think of. Okay, so I know that I'm useful for humanity and for the rest of my children all over the world.
And you can't argue with that. That's how we get to see. Everybody wants somebody to be perfect. You have to work towards perfection. And in the journey and the path, it don't mean you ain't gonna get dirty along the way.
You're gonna get filthy.
Because you're gonna make mistake after mistake because you're learning.
Yeah, and the best part of it is learning yourself within all being squeezed and perplexed and crushed down. The biggest part of my journey that I learned was learning myself while I was going through these things. What were my thoughts? How was I feeling? Even about family members that don't believe in this, family members that just, and being able to set that to the side. But everything's going well.
For the ones who don't believe, it ain't their time yet.
Yes.
Especially if you know they part of the clan. They need to see the clans recovering from the slumber.
My son say that all the time. And that's why he feels so empowered to keep moving and not have no relationships. He's a beautiful young man. He's not even with his children, and he's with me. So I know this is my Haru, out of all of my sons and out of all of my children, I have this one designated to me that is Maximo's Powhatan, and he's on his father's side is Powhatan, and my mother and everybody's from South Carolina. Yeah,
That's probably why you get the message to ask for the lady with the chocolate skin and the white hair.
Yes. Yeah.
You might have to go find her in the church somewhere.
I believe it.
But she'll be the church mother, and everybody will appreciate her wisdom and guidance, because she was guiding them from the inside of the church while the devil was spitting venom from the pulpit.
Mm-hmm. And she made it through all of that.
And that's why we always had a section of church mothers in there, because they know the devil gonna be spitting the lies from the pulpit. We are not allowed to openly tell each other who he is without getting murdered. So the big mamas in the church just kept cultural practices alive, because one of them gonna raise a chief that's gonna remember the old ways and see where they at. And this is how we gonna be refining the big mamas across the land.
Yep.
So all of the work is actively in progress, but we can't see it because it's not played out in the public as a spectacle. But what's in the public is what's in the public domain. We use social media to follow our oral tradition to inform the clans across the land that we back for every motherfucking thing they owe.
Yep. Yep. It's absolutely true.
So people don't understand why I don't have gatherings in places. See, they want that because that's how they gonna say you running a cult and trump up a case on you. Right? So I already done seen it too many times. I seen what they done to Giant Africa.
Yes. Yes.
In Philadelphia. I seen what they done to David Koresh. Right? I seen what they done to Rashad Jamal.
Yes.
I seen what they done to Malachi Z. York. Right? I seen what they done to Larry Hoover, Fred Hampton, Angel Bay. I'm not gonna fall into the trap.
And I was about to say that too. But guess who it's not going to happen to? You. That's not happening to you. That's not your fate.
Yeah, that's what my mama told me. She say
No.
just, she say, as long as you make sure you right, you ain't gonna lose no fights.
And it's absolutely true. Because none of that
So,
is written all over you. None of that.
mhm. And my father said, if you stand in the position of right, tell the truth. That's your greatest defense.
And I love your attitude towards all of the things that's going on and the words that's saying right now. And one thing, yeah, I could tell you, you've got everybody saying, fuck that job. And on my family and around us and everybody that we listen to that, and that runs through this our breathing, and as we go about keeping that up front always, and not having those temporary moments where we all high and hyped up because we all together saying the right things, but when those moments when you're alone, and those moments where you might feel like you want to walk your ass back into the matrix hall.
Yeah, you know, I be wanting to go back to work just to have something to do.
And exactly, it's true. I just
Right.
had a job
But
interview
when I
today.
think about going back to work, have to contract me back to these devils, I got like, fuck a job.
Until they said I had to do a damn drug test, and I smoked so much damn cannabis, and then I said, never mind.
And that's following your culture. Look,
Yeah,
we smoke in our culture.
yeah.
They
They said,
made it illegal
come down
because
here and
we,
take the drug test. I
yeah,
said, oh, sorry, I'm wrong place.
they made it illegal. They made smoking marijuana illegal just to keep us from using it to advance our spiritual awakening.
I love y'all in the comments. Y'all, it's funny.
Hey, my people be the truth.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. We is a family. I'm telling you, when you see all of us come up, you'll see the same names coming up, and everybody be clicking up. Look at them. They is crazy. It's something else. They is going off, and I love it because we need that. We need to see that we all feel in the same way. It helps. It helps you when you feel like you pressed up against the wall.
Look, when we realize the truth that when we decide to separate from the system, that the system is so indebted to us, it has to immediately pay out.
Mm-hmm.
That will make people understand why I say fuck a job. We don't
That's
need
right.
jobs.
We don't. Yeah.
we,
So
we,
we are creators of jobs for other people.
look, us culturally, if we follow our culture, everybody do what they call the labor of love, the thing you love to do. We didn't do it for money though.
That's right. That's right.
Right? Right. Now we working for money. That's gonna keep you perpetually a slave. You already rich, but you can't even inherit your inheritance because you are not competent enough to know you already rich, and that they living off your wealth in your face behind your back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Bread.
They driving up and down all these fancy cars that really belong to us.
Can't take it.
Making us register our shit with their corporation in order to deprive us for the rights of ownership. That's a constructed fraud.
That's the whole thing about it. The fire that's burning inside of not being able to just can't take it no more. It's just not. It's not comfortable no more. It's not all right no more.
My mama said, sooner or later, you're going to have to tell these people. She said, sooner or later, you're going to have to tell these people that you know what you're talking about to such a degree that they listen to what you talk about.
Right. That's right. That's right. And
so,
let me tell you this. It ain't being on no job either. You're not going to be able to have no degree of nothing but slavery, a slavery ship. That's the only degree you're going to get at a job, because it takes finding out about yourself, dealing with your people, dealing with yourself, and being in those books that have those traces of you in it. And that's the journey that we've been on. I couldn't find nothing, because after the Bible, I had to go to the Apocrypha. I had to go to Quran. I had to go in the Buddhist temple. I was looking out everywhere for my damn self when I realized, trying to remember me. Why did I come here, have all these children? Why did my life, why was this the track that my parents, everything? These was deep questions that was not able to be found in, in no library, in some white man's school and in his books. They teach you
Right,
about
because
everybody outside
ain't,
yourself.
can't no book tell you what's written in your soul.
Nope,
You
nope,
have to learn what's written in your soul by examining your natural feelings about things.
right.
So first you gotta get rid of the unnatural ego-driven feelings. Those are the things you was told to feel a certain way about by the society. That's not how you really feel.
It's true.
They told you that that's how you feel, and you accepted it. That's part of your ego that they built for you.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as you doing something that you don't really believe in, but somebody told you you did, you are in service to the one who told you that this is what you believe.
And that don't feel good.
Well, some
It
of the
don't serve
people rather
purpose,
be
path.
told what to do than to be allowed to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
Because then they have to be responsible for their own life. They would rather let the church and the dead Christ be responsible for their life, and the devil be responsible for any errors in their life, than to take responsibility for the God self. All these things are in creation because creation holds all these things,
Mm-hmm.
right? So even though it's artificial intelligence, it can't exist if Big Mama didn't allow us the opportunity to create it,
This is absolutely true.
right? So she say, go and experiment and find the expanses of your mind as you walk in the form of man. So she let us make atomic bombs and don't stop us.
Mm-hmm.
How we gonna know? How we gonna expand consciousness by limiting our abilities to expand consciousness? It doesn't even make sense. Mm-hmm. So the SESQE Trust came up. Let's see if I can pin this comment. In this comment, he say, go and read the SESQE V Act of 1666. Now it's actually three papal bulls used in unison that was given about 100 years apart or so. Probably not even that long apart. But it's saying you will know it not being held back, just treated as a child because you act like one. This when they was calling us imbeciles in law, right? As an imbecile in law, you don't know how to handle your own legal affairs. Your legal affairs is the affairs of your own estate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the real estate is the land. They don't allow us access to the real estate because they hold us barred from the land with something called a alloidial title. Under their system, when they stole the land, the people that they allotted the land to, notice the word allotted. This is the root to where you get your alloidial trust.
Mm-hmm.
The alloidial trust is the segmented portions of the land that the corporation divided up amongst its own selected people, right? When did they do this? Go back to what Martin Luther King said, that while they was taking everything for us, they was undergirding Europe's peasantry with resources to mechanize the farms, And they use us to teach them farming. Right?
Yep.
How can we teach them farming if we don't know this land? You
'Cause we are
just gonna
all
bring a
African.
motherfucker from Africa to teach farming to Europeans that don't even know this land. How the fuck do that make sense?
Yeah, they don't know the climate. When the climate changed, they don't know what's conducive to the land. So how can you tell me what's on this land if you don't know what's conducive to my land?
Yeah. So in different parts of the country, you have to know what crop is viable to this part of the country and why. Every motherfucking one of us, these Mississippi walking clay dirt Negroes, right? We know the land,
Absolutely, like the back of our
right?
hand.
We got people, like people with the last name Fields. That clan has been commercialized as a regular last name of European conquest. The Fields was the ones who took care of the open plains and made sure that the grazing areas wasn't spoiled by lack of being maintenance. We took care of nature. This not no, when they say caretakers of the land, they don't just mean that we just
Because that's in
walked
our
around on
DNA.
the land with
No,
a
that's it's in
thong
our
up
DNA
our
to
ass. That's not what the
tend to the
caretakers
land,
did.
treat the land good, no matter what our lifestyle is. Like I said, I've been in the streets. I've done it all. You heard, Unc,
Mm-hmm.
but I still have that part of nature in me that's never been removed. No matter how I took care of my family, no matter how I got the job done, I never violated nature.
Mm-hmm. As long as you
Never violated the laws of nature.
following the rules of nature, that's how you exercise your autonomy, your sovereignty. When you walk hand in hand with nature, you become almost untouchable.
The storms go around you.
Yep. They gonna follow the storm follows the path of least resistance. The strongest foes make the storm go the other way.
Yep. And
It
like
looked
I
like
said,
it's storming on them,
that
but the
storm, the
storm
storm,
actually
that
blowing all
storm that was
around them.
supposed to be bad in Jacksonville, I was sitting here waiting for it. I went to the beach. I went to the beach. We went to the beach. Me and my moms went right to the beach. I said, "Oh, they said a storm coming, Ma. Let's go to the beach."
Hey, God, I'm gonna let y'all fall out. I'm gonna take somebody else in.
Yeah,
Some
definitely.
more
Peace,
questions.
Unc. Peace to
Peace,
the
God.
tribes too, man.
Yeah. I love talking to the people, seeing the understanding of what's taking place on the land in real time, how to read the energy by seeing how the elders is responding. Where you at? It's so goddamn dark over there. Where you at?
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can't see you though. You trying to hide your face?
Yes, I don't want to be on camera right now, but
What's
I
up?
just wanted to. Is that a problem?
The people probably want to see who talking.
I know. Okay, let me. Gosh, guys. Okay, I just wanted to say something quick because I've been learning and studying, and I'm listening to this, all this stuff about consumer law. People don't have the funds and stuff. They don't know about what we're supposed to be doing with our bills when we're sent them. We're supposed to be turning them in and getting those credits. Like we do have access to our accounts, but we need to know how to
Yeah,
perform
that's,
instead of paying.
everything. I know it's a trap.
Is it a trap?
Yeah,
How would it be a trap?
because the system needs you to contract with it in order to have a purpose. Soon as you stop contracting with it, it's gonna die.
I see what you're saying.
You pumping
So
life
even if you're,
into it.
go ahead.
It's called. If you look up the term "resurrection of contract,"
Uh-huh.
you understand what I'm talking about. The corporation is dead.
Yes.
They bankrupt and closed. It's a defunct corporation. But when you filing paperwork with the corporation that's dead, you doing business with a dead entity. Therefore, you classifying yourself as the dead because only the dead do business with the dead, while the living walks among themselves and do business amongst the living.
But if you are the
It's
beneficiary of
a
that
dead
corporation,
entity. It doesn't exist anymore. It's a defunct
gotcha.
corporation.
I
It's
gotcha.
closed.
I gotcha.
The paperwork is going back, digging up the body,
Mm-hmm.
trying to get them to give you a benefit. It's dead.
I,
The
I
corporation is
got you.
gone. The whole president show right now is a whole show. And people that actually believe that this character that they be transferring different actors to play is Joe Biden, they need a real psych.
Yeah, I agree. So, okay, question. So what you're saying is the people that are getting remedy from their accounts, what's going to happen to them? Like if the
Okay,
corporation
once
is dead and they're still getting remedy.
they are considered party to the fraud and can be prosecuted when the new system come online.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That makes sense.
Once the fraud is discovered, the remedy in law is called abandonment of contract for fraud.
Mm-hmm.
When you abandon the contract because of the fraud, you can no longer, when the fraud is discovered, you abandon the contract, you cannot be held party to the fraud. But when you discover the fraud and then you actively participate in the fraud, you become part. That's why a lot of the guys that was using sovereign rights was
Yeah,
ending up in federal prison because now you are in on the fraud with the fraudsters. You part of the crime that's being committed in real time,
I'm following you. Yeah, that makes
right?
sense.
So the only defense is the abandonment defense because once a fraud is discovered and you abandon it because you can't overthrow the fraudster because his reach is much bigger than yours.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
you have to abandon the contract.
got you. That makes sense. I appreciate it.
You're
I
welcome,
appreciate
sweetie.
it. I needed to ask that to
It,
get
it was a
clarity. So I
good
appreciate
it was a good question though, and a lot of people ask that question, and I just have to give them the same explanation. It's the same explanation. It's just that everybody haven't heard me give the explanation, so sometime it has to be repeated.
yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome, sweetie.
Have a good night.
You
All
too.
right.
I don't have any information to comment on Mitchell Gibson.
Peace,
Peace,
peace.
guys. How
How are
you
you?
doing?
I am well. I am well. I just want to let you know, man, when I first heard of you is when I heard one of your prophecies. And I knew you was the real deal because I had dreamt that. What you were saying was aligning with my dreams. And I was like, okay, yes, he knows exactly what he's speaking about. And
Okay,
I love
so just
your
for
mission.
the crowd listening, I don't make, I'm not a prophet. I don't predict the future, but I do math that leads me to conclusions based off of the signs that I see active in the current moment.
Indeed, indeed, God, indeed. And
Because
especially,
people be calling me false prophet. I'm like, I ain't never told nobody I was no goddamn prophet. Where you get that from? I'm a mathematician doing a math problem that's a conceptual physics formula.
Indeed. I just want to give you your flowers. I just want to give you your flowers. You are definitely doing a beautiful work for the people everywhere, even the people that don't appreciate you right now or understand the vision. But it all plays together for the good of everybody. And we
Yeah, because
all,
ain't no big eyes and no little U's. And I ain't no respect to persons. A good motherfucker, and a piece of shit, a piece of shit.
that's real.
It is what it is.
It is
And some
what
people
it is.
look like a piece of shit on the surface because they performing a function that don't look savory to the masses,
Mm,
but that's their role they have to play. We have to all fight the war from the angle we can see.
that's right. That's absolutely right. Absolutely right. Yeah, I definitely understand. I see definitely through the looking glass. Okay. So I feel you. I just want to give you your flowers. I just want to come on and give you your flowers. I'm not going to hold you. I know other people want to get on here with you, but keep definitely enlightening.
Okay, I appreciate it, sweetie.
Okay. Peace.
Peace. Let the young guy come in. Make sure. What's
Peace to
going
the team.
on?
Peace to the team. Man, I feel like I'm on the BT Awards right now. Man, we live, man.
Oh,
Somebody screen
before
record this.
before we get started, let me answer this question right quick.
No, you good, OG.
Atlanta was already put on notice by the ceremonial tribes, right?
I'm
Because
on the
our
OG
people
right now. It's over.
our people froze up, so we sent people that don't look like us to do the work for us as a ceremonial tribe, right? So what you're seeing now is the nature response to Atlanta for not trying to clean up the dirt after they was put on notice. Mhm. What's going on, guy? What's
Man, peace to
Tell the
the
people your name,
God.
man. Where you calling from?
Man, D Preston, I'm out here in Cali, man. We pushing this real warrior energy. I just want to condemn you, OG, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. I don't want to talk to nobody else. Man, the spiritual community, they done crashed out. Man, people out here looking for their God bodies, man, and we still here. We moving. I'm gonna get straight to it, OG. What you think about UVC radiation being ground level now, and
You covering up your speaker.
you hear me now, OG?
You still got it covered up.
Hear me?
Yeah, you got me on your headset?
No, I just took it off. I just took it
Yeah, I
off.
can hear you now. I can hear you
Okay.
now.
Okay, what you think about the UVC radiation being ground level and it being 2023? You know, that's the 7 year. This is the beginning of their plan. 2030.
Look,
I wanted to bring the culture in just because this kind of resonates with just how that 7 year tribulation kick off in a biblical text for all the house fingers. I want you to break their ass off, OG, because I don't think our people really understand what's really going on with how Big Mama moving and how Rock activated right now.
right. So because we're going into the sun cycle, we have to go into a golden age.
Come on.
The golden age arrives at the age of Aquarius. Age of Aquarius officially came in 2012.
Okay.
So what we doing now is we doing the awakening, right?
Yeah.
Trying to get the tribes to know that the government classify the tribes as gangs. First and foremost, we have to remember that. We are
Okay.
outlaw tribes belligerent to the treaty tribal governments.
Y'all gotta listen. Listen up.
These treaty tribal governments contracts, they were defrauded by the invaders who came to set up an interim government until we was a functional enough people after the war to reform our own tribal network of governments.
Oh, that's powerful, G. Go ahead.
All of these so-called gang leaders is actual blood-tied chiefs on the land that's POWs of a foreign agency operating under the false pretense of being our government.
I'm following you. That's powerful.
They are all being bankrolled by an international banking cartel who operates under all what we call Federal Reserve type systems, using fractional reserve banking and the inflation adjustment of the financial instrument in order to steal everything from the people.
Y'all gotta listen. I hear you.
Okay, so now all of these chiefs have all decided that enough is enough, and treaties of peace was being written by all of the outlaw belligerent tribes to reclaim the land because we got the blood and the right of the organic originals of the land coming out of the North American basin or Congo called the Mississippi Delta.
Come on.
We expand from there and branch out like veins across the land in tribal settlements and took on different names amongst ourselves that we gave ourselves. Then when the invaders came, the Gullah Geechee Big Mama called all clans on deck to fight in the Gullah Wars.
Come on.
When the enemy tell the story, they call the copper-colored nappy-head chiefs slaves. We are insulted.
Come on.
We serve no man at no time. As the chief, we only give service to the duties and functions Big Mama delegated to us.
I'm right with you. Come on.
So when one chief makes a discovery that affects his clan, he must vex it to his clan in order to offer up a solution to remedy or redeem his clan from whatever this particular issue is.
Damn, OG, why you going crazy? You gotta chill.
Okay, so now when the chief make a discovery that affects all of the clans, he is responsible to go to each clan and put it in the public domain and allow that clan to sift through his information and see if he really know what the fuck he talking about, and is this something we need to take action on.
Come on.
Now, what I'm doing as an internet campaign is a time-stamped and dated archivable format that under the oral traditions of the original people from the land called the Americas, North, South, Central, and the outlying islands, Tonga, Samoa, Hawaii, down to the extended lands of down under, New Zealand and Australia, all clans on deck have decided that enough is a motherfucking enough.
Come on. Now we rise.
Now, the grievance that we responding to is invaders sexually abusing our children and using them for sex toys with no regard for skin tone, hair texture, or any of that. They fucking all our babies.
Come on. The ones that derive from that prokaryotic cell, right?
It don't matter.
Okay.
The enemy is the same to all organic tribes of the earth.
Period. In that order. I hear you, OG. I'm with you.
Some of the organic tribes of the earth got blonde hair and black skin, or what we call chocolate skin.
Okay.
They born that way.
Okay.
And some of them got blonde hair and blonde skin.
They still consist of that neuromelanin, right?
that's still one of the 12 daughters of
All right.
ISIS.
Damn.
These was the 12 major clans that settled the entirety of the earth, dating back before Atlantis was a fart.
Damn, OG, I hear you. You woke my game up right now.
We've been here for trillions of years doing these cycles
Do y'all
in
hear
order
OG?
to train souls,
Come on.
right? And now that the school's been hijacked by the bad kids, in comes the dean of the university to kick their warden out who was running it like a prison.
Damn. OG, you giving me game right now. Come on.
So now that they warden turned out to be a prison planet, we take their warden and treat him like he treated the worst of us. We didn't decide how we was going to act when this was going to be. They did.
Come on. It's over with.
We didn't decide that we was going to be the ones that had to clean this shit up. They did.
Come on. Pack up.
We welcomed everybody with open arms. And they thought that that meant we were weak.
That's why they got Black Friday on our ass.
Right.
Come on.
Our harvest of the turkey gave us the day that we call Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
But they celebrate Black Friday.
Yeah.
Because after we got done drinking firewater, smoking plenty peace pipe, and eating plenty of tryptophan, because Big Mama always cooked the turkeys as a symbolic representation of a chief that was performing his function correctly.
Dropping
The
bombs
turkey,
on their ass.
the turkey with its spread tail feathers is the head feathers of the chief.
Come on.
When a new chief is being christened, it's going to be on Thanksgiving, and he's going to get his own turkey. And he going to cut it up among his wife and his immediate offspring.
Straight like that.
And then the rest of the clans going to get up, and they going to go to the buffet and get their own shit to eat.
Yeah.
But first, Big Mama had to christen the new chief with his own turkey that he had to bless the table and all who sit to eat with the new chief and serve them a piece of his community, which is represented by carving up of the turkey.
Ooh.
So we didn't know they was criminalizing our culture and monetizing our culture, and exonyms given to our culture to make us believe that these was some shit called a pagan holiday.
It's a damn shame. We better remember this shit. It's in us.
So now that we done had all this food to eat, and now that we done had all this firewater in this peace pipe, and all this tryptophan, and we go to sleep for day for morning, paleface get up and slaughters, but they really wasn't paleface. They look like us.
All skin folk ain't kin folk.
All skin
Come on.
folk ain't kinfolk.
Yeah.
But they told us in the history books that they wrote to give us that these people that slaughtered the Pequot was paleface. They were not paleface.
That's that propaganda they pushing out. They got us.
Right, because they
mashed
trying
up.
to control the narrative.
They own motherfuckers crashing out. OG, you see them?
Yeah. So
They got
now,
manifestos for our ass. Not to cut
yeah,
your wisdom. I apologize.
yeah. Now that we done whooped their ass, hey, go ahead. Cut loose on them, nephew.
Oh, everything. Hey, we out here cooking Cali, OG. I'm right with you. We rising. They said it was gonna be a few of us rising, not just one. It's in a book.
Hey, listen, your OGs out there been sending me messages.
Oh yeah?
I told the OGs in Cali to hit them in the pockets.
Yeah, no, they
You've been
got me.
seeing the organized crews clearing out the stores. This not no accident. This ain't no shit that just decided to happen today.
Come on. It's that cycle you're talking about, OG. They
Look,
gotta listen to you.
you from Cali. You know Cali culture because you live it.
Yeah.
Who you know gonna put it without an OG or sanction it? Who gonna run up in the store in the mob like that? If the OG don't sanction it, who gonna do it?
The young
But,
homies.
but if they do it, it's gonna be a consequence. But who's gonna? The young homie's not gonna think to do it. The young homie's gonna run up in the liquor store with a pistol.
You're not lying.
They're gonna run up in the gas station. They gonna catch the ice cream man. That's what the little homies gonna do because they don't know no better. They don't have a value of $1. So who organizing these motherfuckers to run up in the Gucci store and clear the racks? Run up in the jewelry store and clear the cases. Now while they doing this, they telling the people that's working there, insurance got this shit covered.
Yeah.
They hitting them in the pockets.
Yeah.
The insurance hates to pay out.
They told them, they told the young niggas that they not gonna hold them too long. You see what they doing with the laws? It's part of the game. It's folding. It's over with. This
Because the tribes in Cali is reclaiming the land and they making these motherfuckers pay on their way out. If don't nobody know what's going on, we'll explain it, the culture, and let you put the pieces together.
That's powerful. That's powerful.
So
that's powerful.
In Cali, they structure, the organizational structure is not the same as in the Midwest with Vice Lords, Disciples, Stones, etc.
Yeah.
Out there, y'all operate on what's called the OG call. We operate on the chain of command. Y'all follow a chain of command, but y'all divided up different than we is. We divided up by the rank and the function you performing. Y'all divided by how much work you put in. Right? You can't be a triple OG and you ain't never put no work in.
No, you ain't lying, OG.
Because then the young G's is gonna try your ass to see if you the man that you say you is, because there's no history or pattern for them to look at. Right? So when you see something that organized, you already know that's not no children organizing that.
Yeah.
Because only do the adults think in the terms of when you hit a motherfucker in the pockets, who do you make pay? Insurance. And the insurance companies is the biggest fraudsters on the land.
Yeah, they sick with it.
Right. Hit the motherfuckers and hit them hard. And when the insurance payout come, it compensates the business owner. And now the insurance companies is bitching to the motherfucking financiers at the bank.
Come on.
The motherfuckers who got us divided up into 13 central bank regions. Because that's how they was going to carve our land up among their clans that they call Israelites.
You going crazy, OG. Come on.
That shit don't got nothing to do with us. We not Ishmaelites, Israelites, Hamites. We ain't none of that biblical shit, because that's the book that they use to entrap us by making us believe it had something to do with us when it don't got nothing to do with us.
Come on.
We didn't know what that book said before 1492. We didn't. So how do that shit got anything to do with us?
Come on.
Our culture is outlaw culture to their culture. That means the shit they told us voodoo stay away from got to be our shit.
Come on.
So I went and investigated.
Cook up on their ass.
When I got done investigating if the voodoo was really our culture, versus their culture, I came out that bitch a witch doctor. I
Every day.
went in a priest and I came out a witch doctor.
Come on,
That's
man.
enlightenment for your motherfucking ass.
Every day. Yeah.
This where my people at.
Yeah.
The ones that will cut you from asshole to appetite and sit down and eat motherfucking a whole meal on your corpse
Come on.
about they motherfucking family.
Come on.
Them my people. You leave them alone, they leave you alone. Them my people.
Yeah.
They operate exactly how I feel. They got to be my people.
Yeah.
I can't feel how they operate if we ain't got something in common somewhere in the blood.
Come on.
So when I hear my uncle tell my father, come on, man, time to have a powwow, niggas, Africans don't do powwows. Who the fuck is these motherfuckers?
Yeah.
Africans don't do powwows.
Yeah.
My mama say we ain't from Africa and Africans don't do powwows. And my daddy and my uncle then went to powwows on a regular basis with their peoples. Who in the fuck is these motherfuckers?
Come on. Aboriginal.
I asked my old dude if he was from Africa. He said we might have some African in my blood. I don't know. He said, but I can tell you this: my grandmama had hair down her ankles, and we know she was native.
Come
Why
on.
you tell me that? Because the blood right come through the motherland.
Come on.
Only the tribes gonna follow that shit.
Yeah.
The corporation not gonna follow it because it's a direct smack in the face to their patriarchal agenda to homosexualize the children.
Yeah. That's why it's in the public school system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of the public school systems, these parents finna get a rude awakening.
No, it's already rude, OG. I'm on their ass.
They finna get an awakening on these schools like never before. People better stop sending their children to the motherfucking brainwashing camps because they finna hurt some babies.
Yeah, and they Sky Daddy can't save them from what the fuck they talking about exempt from their religion. Yeah, no. Your religion can't exempt you from that ABC bullshit, OG. Yeah.
Look,
Tell the motherfuckers that's in the house with Massa.
yep, all that's for contractual agreements.
Yeah.
Stop sending your child to the brainwash camp. Now, I want to get with some sisters and do an open Q&A format on setting up homeschooling groups. So if one of the sisters is interested with starting a homeschooling group, I can give you like okay, so you're getting groups of people together to perform a function that government was performing in error.
Okay. The contract
Right.
over.
Yep. Contract is over.
Yeah.
If we don't take our children out of their schools, they gonna traumatize us. We don't believe it though, so we're gonna get traumatized because they're gonna do what they're gonna do.
Yeah, it's sick.
Now
Even the
remember,
teachers that's
on their way out, they desire to cause the maximum amount of chaos possible before they allow the last sips of power to drain from their cup. And what they got in mind for the chaos is supposed to be to force the parents to stop sending their child to them brainwashing camps.
Come on. That's all it is. Cook on them.
Now, I done seen some books of life, a lot of them leaving on the same day at the same time.
Yeah.
And they all agreed in their book of life to leave together in that group.
Okay. Yeah.
That tell me that it's got to happen because the people not going to wake up.
Yeah, no. They already a step on their ass.
But I wouldn't send, if I had any say, I'm not telling nobody to send their child to school.
Yeah.
Anybody that's willing to listen to understand what I'm talking about, because we already, they've been telling us with the school shootings. Them are warning shots. Before they were school shootings, people don't remember.
Yeah.
There was McDonald's shootings.
Ugh, that's ill.
Between McDonald's shootings and school shootings, they had a rash of post office shootings where we got the term going to go postal on your
Come
ass.
on. Get the
Right?
playground out the motherfucking McDonald's. Tear that
Yeah.
motherfucking down.
So all of those are just indicators.
Yeah.
Before they do something big, they have to make enough small commotion throughout the land before they do something big. Now they ready to do something big because they sipping the last 2 little drops of power they got.
Yeah. They on their way out.
And they gonna try to make us suffer the most. And the thing that you make us suffer the most is when you hurt the children.
Yeah. That's they next up.
Yeah. All I can do is warn whoever willing to listen
Yeah.
to pull their children out of these brainwashing camps. But most of them can't see the fall of Babylon and know that the system is going to shock you into awareness one way or another.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be the one responsible to deliver the message that I see. It's like a black hole in the awakening process. That's a emotional drain on a massive amount of people,
Yeah.
right? They're going to do that to try to stall out the shift in the Schumann resonance.
Yeah, because Big Mama, she talking right now. She
Mm-hmm.
talking.
Once the Schumann resonance come fully stabilized, right? There ain't nothing they can do. Atlas Shrugged is next. It's a high frequency vibration from the core of the earth. Anything that doesn't have mitochondrial right to be here will be turned off.
That don't come from that black woman.
The term is Atlas Shrugged.
Mm.
Atlas Shrugged is a book by Ayn Rand that tells about what happens after Atlas Shrugged. It looks like post-apocalyptic era.
Okay.
But what it's doing is they gonna blame it on viruses and diseases because they've been poisoning us, telling us we've been had viruses and diseases the whole time. So when they tell us that all these people that's being turned off, like they call it now, suddenly dead, or ADS, adult death syndrome, for the people that and remember, more and more people getting turned off, but once she turn all the way on, if you're not supposed to be here, you will be turned the fuck off.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. It's time for her to get
I've
the
been
fuck
telling
off.
people this for years,
Yeah.
but they don't know what I'm talking about. That's what all that suddenly dead shit about. The Jabberwocky is just a good excuse to cover that story up.
That's that zombie juice right there. That's gene therapy and some more of it, and it's definitely not enough of it. They got some more shit for y'all too that's depending on that shit. Damn, OG, you done broke it off. I know
Look,
they can't stand me, OG. I done got your ass cooking.
hey, look, our people probably appreciate it.
Yeah, no, come on.
But
Now we ride.
look, these people are being turned off.
Come on.
Those are your non-player characters.
NPCs.
When the NPCs being turned off, it's going to look like a sudden adult death syndrome. The church been teaching it for years, and they was calling it the rapture. But they had the story upside down and backwards. So when they was saying a motherfucker was gonna be gone in the twinkling of an eye, no, he gonna be gone, but that motherfucking form gonna be sitting there.
Come on.
He gonna be turned the fuck off.
Come on. It's over with.
Now the sky's about to open up.
Yeah. They say the veil, hey, the family up in here been going crazy. That veil is lifted, y'all. Y'all know that.
So when the veil is fully lifted,
Yeah.
we gonna clearly see what they've been trying to conceal. That's why I have to keep telling these motherfuckers the truth every time I say something, because I want to be so firmly rooted in the truth, I can't be
And
shook.
that's why I can't fuck with them, OG, because they don't feel you. They trying to call you a fraud because they trying to bank up off our people. Man, this shit over with. I hope these niggas have fun with that money.
I,
You better get.
I don't care about, look, I don't care if people want to be African American, man. I don't have a problem with them wanting to be African American. That don't have nothing to do with me.
Yeah, these niggas sick, OG.
Look, they can be unapologetically African American.
Yeah.
If they don't understand that black is the defenders on the chessboard and they just want to be civilly mortis, they can be black. Unapologetically so.
Come on.
They can be free white persons in law, a blackamoor.
Come
I
on.
don't care. All I'm telling them is I don't mind y'all being here, just don't get in the way because I'm collecting my birthright.
They gotta get this shit back. Sit back
While
and
you
go
see
for
these
shit.
Mississippi red clay dirt walking around in human form,
Yeah.
exalting Big Mama to her rightful position,
Come on.
giving their sisters back their rightful inheritance,
Come on, listen.
calling the corporation on a fraudulent establishment,
Yeah.
serving an eviction notice and severing the contract on behalf of all of the incompetent chiefs who didn't know it was time to sever the contracts. While we doing all that shit,
Come on.
just please leave my people alone.
Come on.
That's all. I don't ask for a lot.
Yeah.
If you African American and you from Africa, which I don't mind you being from Africa, but I don't know an African from Africa that call himself African.
Come on, man. They're my brothers
If
and
he
sisters.
from Nigeria,
Yeah.
he might say he Nigerian, but more when I talk to him, they always tell me they tried.
Come on.
They don't tell me they from Lagos, Nigeria.
Man knows thyself.
They don't tell me that they from Johannesburg, South Africa.
Yeah.
They tell me they tried. And then I'll be like, what part of the continent is that tribe? Now they start telling you regional shit based off the exonymic description of the Berlin Conference. Because that's our perspective, and the only way they can show us on the map where they from using the language that we can understand because we all been indoctrinated by the same enemy.
Come on. Remember who you are.
But when he tell me who he is, he gonna give me a name and a tribe first, out the gate.
Come on.
Now, the ones who might give you something different is the ones who've been converted to Islam, as if that shit not equally as fraudulent.
Break their ass off, OG. Stop playing
Look,
with these niggas.
if we study the history of international slave trade,
Yeah.
the so-called niggas called Jews financed it. Some niggas called Arabs started it, turned it into a business, a booming business that resulted in hundreds of trillions of dollars over the years. All of the nations of Europe who has no resources begin to use that as a means of currency exchange.
Come on.
So the money that they was using was transferring slaves into gold.
Come on.
This is how the Khazarians was able to amass a massive amount of wealth in order to finance the kings of Europe conquest of the world using the Arab slave trade mechanics as part of a fractional reserve banking network
Yeah.
that charge interest rates to monarchies around the world. And in the end, the monarchy hold on to his little petty position, but all of the money belonged to the Khazarians.
Damn.
These Khazarians is a mulatto offspring of blackamoors and European women. They are mulatto race,
Yeah.
a half-breed race. Their entire race was born to the concubines that the black royal family of Europe had that was pale-faced.
Come
So
on.
instead of disinheriting them, they allowed them to be custodians of the banks, what we call them Rothschilds and Rockefellers. They just cover
All
stories.
12 punk motherfuckers.
Yeah. Now, when you find out who they work for, they look like us, but they ain't us.
Yeah, fuck them niggas.
They call themselves black conquistadors if they from Spain.
Come on.
They tutors of the Tudor royal families who went about to conquer the world under the pretense of spreading the gospel.
Okay.
Now you remember, in 325 AD, Christianity was created by orders of Emperor Constantine at the Nicene Council. This is universally known throughout Christendom as the root to the Bible, compilation of originally 80 books that became 66 when they created a 400-year gap between Malachi and Matthew. They took 14 books out the Bible.
Yeah.
Okay, that don't count all of the rest of the contemporary texts that the narrative that they wanted to push would expose, so they left them out.
Yeah.
Your book
Yeah.
of Enoch, Gospel of Barnabas, Gospel of Mary, right? What they don't know is the New Testament, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and the Acts of the Apostles was a play written by a playwright by the name of Josephus Flavius.
Receipts. Come on.
Joseph Flavius worked, he was an undercover Jew working for the Flavian royal family,
Okay.
right? And he was a contemporary to a first century philosopher named of Origen, right? Origen is the one that the doctrine, he was the mystic whose references was used to write the play.
Damn. You dropping note on their ass. Oh,
Now, there was a Saint Augustine who was a 3rd century pre-Nicene Council mystic who was the Sakari. What they end up becoming known in Christendom is Coptics.
They gotta let the GDs in, man. They got to.
It easy kick the fucking door off the hinges, motherfucker. Ain't no frame left.
Come on.
We in this bitch.
Come on.
Right? I got motherfucking Crips to my right and motherfucking Stones and Bloods to my left. We coming for this shit.
Come on. Come on.
Who the fuck, what I'm gonna do? Get Secret Service to walk with me? Them not my people.
Come on, man. God
my people vice lords. My people Satan disciples. MS-13.
Come on.
Them my people.
Yeah.
They told us we was outlaws and we didn't even have a right to be on our own shit, that we was blood tied to the land.
Yeah.
Crips and Bloods, my brothers. Vitos and Locos is my family. Them motherfuckers.
Come on.
They calling illegal aliens for going back home to their own land.
They come from Big Mama.
Look, these Mexico, California was all one land.
Come on.
That's a Maru land.
Caliphas rising power to the goddesses.
The Caliphas was the queens who was left to oversee the palaces on the west when all of the chiefs went east to fight the Gullah Wars. So they went around South America and sacked the women like some bitches.
Yeah.
And still got their ass handed to them.
Come on. We know who these dirty motherfuckers is.
They got their ass handed to them by the women. What if they'd have ran into the warriors? Tell me the
Come on.
story.
Things happen for a
They got
reason.
their ass. We on our way east to go fight the Gullah Wars because of all hands on deck.
Yeah,
This how you end up with tribes of Samoans in America. Tribe of Tongans in America still practicing their culture.
go crazy. Yeah,
Hawaii ain't never stopped fighting for their motherfucking shit.
yeah, they outside.
They just wrote it in the books as if they was part of America. They ain't got shit to do with America,
We see why it's going on.
right?
Volcanoes is erupting, OG.
I'm saying.
It's been a minute.
Look, when the people down there, the real clans from Hawaii, they know what to do to make the land protect them. They just ain't start activating certain nature forces to protect the land. They know what to do, and they know when to do it.
Come on.
Why? For them not to do it, it got to be a reason.
Yeah. Cook up on their ass.
Okay, nephew, I'm gonna let somebody else come in and ask a question.
Hell yeah,
I
man. Let them be,
appreciate
man.
cooking
Hey,
with you,
you
dog.
broke their ass up. I appreciate you. All love. You know
I
it's
just
love.
answered your question, man. That's
Yeah.
all.
No, it's all love. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. That young blood getting me going. Love the youngsters. Oh, my baby Paige in here. Girl, you better bring your tail on up here. Got my girl Paige Flowers in the house, y'all. Ah!
Hey, you know, if I'm here, I got something for us now, right?
All the time.
What's going on?
You got it.
What's going
You
on?
got it.
What's going on, right? See, you ain't got me started because you start talking about the Federal Reserve, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you start talking about this money system and how it all goes back to Switzerland. Now I got some stuff. See, I've been going to work. I haven't been saying much. I've been going to work studying the stuff that you've been saying about the paperwork, right?
Mm-hmm.
What we don't know is when you go back to that Treaty of Bern, right,
Mm-hmm.
in Switzerland, that was to preserve the literary works. What are the literary works for the United States? All of their paperwork. So we didn't realize that their paperwork had been copyrighted. So here you are putting your intellectual property on their copyrighted forms. Then they have 8 million statutes and codes, and they never expected us to find out that you had to have a Series 7 license to be able to touch the UCC forms in the first place. Now ask the people that's selling that damn paperwork, do you have a license? And you say you sovereign and you this and you that. But business, you need a license. So you still under their thumb when you fill out the fucking paperwork from the jump. You see what I'm saying? Thinking that we going from one end to another and we're not. And I'm not finished. Hold on.
Get him, girl.
Listen, right? I've been studying from a brother named Keith Little and King L. Bay, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a code I want people to understand. This is how they've been fucking us up. 22 CFR 93.1, service through diplomatic channels. When they pull you over for any kind of stop, right? That officer is bringing suit to you, even if he say it's a ticket or whatever. Before he brings suit to you, there is supposed to be service through the diplomatic channel, which is the U.S. Treasury. The U.S. Treasury is supposed to be the one that's the diplomat that goes in to verify who the fuck you are before they bring suit to you, right? They know that they not, they know they not supposed to be bringing suit against us indigenous people. But because we don't know their rules and their statutes, they can just bring suit to us and we accept that. See, if you get your ass on the phone, you call the U.S. Treasury right then and there, they looking at you like, oh shit, this motherfucker knows something, right?
So in court rules, it say that in order for a suit to be established, you have to have a joinder of the parties.
Right.
The joinder of the parties is being delegated dual responsibility to the policy enforcer. This is why they call them policy enforcer. So on first contact is establishing a coming in mutual contact even if you don't consent.
Mm-hmm.
The purpose of the Fifth Amendment was to keep you from ever consenting to a joinder of the parties. Therefore, you cannot be part and party to the fraud.
Mm-hmm.
When you rebel against them, they declare war against you and they call it a warrant.
Yep.
The warrant is the ongoing declaration of war established by the Pope and the Crown of England against the organic peoples of the land.
Mm-hmm.
They originally called it the Doctrine of Discovery. The Doctrine of Discovery was the permission slip to establish the chess position as white, called the white man's burden, to a group of people that would just so happen to be blackamoors. Right? They tell us the story in mind in blackface. Because when they do blackface, they are performing the pantomime to tell you who's controlling them. They wear the blackface to tell us they face look this color, but they got on the white gloves. They are exposing something called the black hand. We know today the black hand to be the KKK, aka the Black Brotherhood of Barcelona. So when they had the pale faces on the raids into the indigenous village, he was being led by another white robe that had a black hand that was the most brutal of all other people that was doing the raid. But he didn't have on no gloves. But he had a black hand. Clayton motherfucking Bigsby, the Black Klansman. He brought his regalia from Spain and dressed up the ones that he used to block the institutions with. Because they can't reap the benefit if we restore our tribal structures to the land.
Right.
So it's all related. So the joinder of the parties still has to take place on the execution of the warrant. That's called arraignment. How do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or stand mute? If you stand mute, the court will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf. That means the judge took it up on himself to speak for you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And to issue you a connection to the other side of the courtroom, the other party, as guilty or not guilty, or if you stand mute, the court enter not guilty on your behalf. Now the parties is officially adjoined. We have to bind this. So the judge sets a bind. The burden falls on the person who falls in the category of imbecile to execute the bond. In other words, we're going to hold you for collateral for the bond of this subject matter. They have subject matter jurisdiction because it's only their subject. They just don't have the jurisdiction of the person. But since your straw man can't speak for itself and you don't know that they holding your straw man, they going to hold you hostage.
Right.
Until somebody can represent the interests of the straw man by putting up credits known as fiat currency in the amount issued by the judge.
Right. Right. And this is the thing that gets me to what we didn't know, right? I look at this was blowing my mind too about the real post office, and I've been telling people to go look this up, right? That at one point in time, the real courthouse was connected to the post office, right?
Postmaster General.
Right. And so we was never supposed to be dealing
That's
with
tribal.
any, right. We was never supposed to be dealing with any administrative courts. You look at the registered agent for the post office, which is the United States Postal Service. Look at their cars. They don't have plates on their cars. They have numbers on their vehicles. See, every other agency has registered plates on their vehicles because they're all corporations, but they have numbers on theirs, right? And we didn't know that our homes were actual military posts because of this number system with us having registered addresses.
Right, those are barracks.
Yep.
We all living in the barracks. That's why they gave us meritorious manumission under the Emancipation Proclamation.
Yep.
They liberated us from private ownership, as they say, and allowed us to freely roam the land as trustees under meritorious manumission. By doing such, if we can keep our tax quota, they will allow us to unmolestedly roam the land. But we have to abide by the rules and their policies that they put forth as codified doctrines of law.
Right.
Right? We have our own legal traditions that's from the land that they try to stifle and suffocate. What they call public law is the regulations of a foreign military entity exercising its occupation over an occupied territory, right? They have to have a set of rules to prevent the occupants of the occupied territory who are rightfully there to be rebellious and belligerent and remove them from power, right? So they give us the impression of their legitimacy. They give us pride in our defeat in their conquest by celebrating their conquest on days that were significant to our culture. They transferred our cultural traditional days over to their economically advantageous systems of corporate entity. So they was able to capitalize off our traditions by renaming them and reclassifying them as holidays.
Yeah.
And then they make us, as we become awakened, belligerent to the holidays because we see how they were usurped. Right? And we take that process of being usurped as it's not ours. All the time, those holidays was key festivals that we used to keep as families in order to keep extended families with strong bonds.
Right.
None of these major holidays are supposed to be less than a week.
Yep.
Right? The major holiday was the winter solstice, because it's the transitioning from the conclusion of harvest. Now we go into what's called feast period, where we cook in-home meals and we have family meals together. We sit around the table because it's cold outside. Now this is the bonding period. The wintertime was for family bonding. This is why they made sure the children went to school in the wintertime. Because it's the time that we're not supposed to work harvest. We ain't supposed to be out working. We supposed to be doing indoor events with the family in the north, right? In some parts around the outer borders, because of the different climate, had different practices and customs. right? So they had to stamp out our culture by what we use as unity, they use for separation.
Mhm.
So our military, that's how I knew we was at war.
Yeah.
When I looked around at the layout of the city streets, it's all military regimented, like military bases. It's just bigger.
Yep. All of it's military. Every last part of it's military. Even the hospitals, it's all military. It's all military. All of the institutions, it's all military. People don't understand that they literally why they bring you in their jurisdiction in the first place is because they think you're a part of the militia. They think they have a record of us not knowing, right, that it was all military. They have a record of some of us as members of the militia. And that's why they feel like they can bring you into their military tribunals, because they literally have you as a part of the militia and you didn't know it. You can
Because
read them
we
constitution.
we inherit the fight of our ancestors because they're gonna hold us responsible for the ancestors that rebelled against their system all the way until they eradicate us.
Yep.
So we got the option of now being wise enough to say, hey, look, we see what's going on and we don't want no part of it. And leave their system to itself.
Right.
Right? And you have to use your best judgment and do the best you can. But the faster you get away from the system, the faster we switch over.
Absolutely. That's the only way. The faster you switch over, literally, like limiting your commercial activity, because that is also what's keeping this thing going. And how they have jurisdiction is because of the commercial activity. You operating in commerce, they thinking that you're a bank, and even having a corporation. When you have a corporation, people didn't know that you were supposed to contact the Federal Reserve to get verification, to get approval from their board, to even touch their dollars and receive them.
Well,
So,
most of us never investigated how to start our own corporation because remember, we was all mom and pop's businesses.
right,
The
right,
ones of us who had businesses, it was the mom's or pop's business. Little restaurant, little store, you know what I'm saying? Enough to keep the family going. We didn't want too much. Feed the hungry children in the neighborhood, get the kids out the street, give them something to do, right?
right.
So while we waking up, now our boys is fighting each other in the streets, calling each other ops because the system told them they was ops. They not really ops. They don't know that they shooting friendly fire at each other.
Yep.
Right? And if they ever stop shooting at each other, we discovered this after the Rodney King riots. If they ever stop shooting at each other, the police will send undercover agency in to make sure they start back shooting at each other.
Yep. 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 There's so much. Like I said, there's over like 8 million statutes and codes. How can somebody read all of this shit?
Every day you break in one of their rules and regulations, whether you know it or don't know it.
Yeah.
And ignorance of the law is no excuse.
Yeah.
That
Basically.
means that's because they already know that you don't know, and because you are imbecile and you ignorant, they just have to go along with it as if you knew what you was doing.
Yep.
So the ignorance of their law is no excuse. All the time is competence of their law nullifies the reality that they law belong here.
Yep. Yep.
And as long as they keep us intimidated by reading, by telling us and convincing us, if you want to hide something from a nigga, put it in the book, then tell us we was the niggas. We wasn't the niggas.
Right.
Originally, Irish was called the niggas. Originally. If you Google the term white nigga, it's going to tell you they Irish. They was the original ones who was warring with the Catholic Church and fled over here for refuge, they princesses, two of them, Scotta and Scotia, was brought by Templars. And that's why when you look at the History Channel, they say that the Templars was here hundreds of years before Columbus. Because the war that they was having when they said that St. Patrick eradicated the snakes from Ireland. He was a military general, went to slaughter the priests of Ireland and to capture the princesses, Scotta and Scotia. They thought they killed them, but they didn't. Scotta fell off the Abbey, was rescued by Templars when she fell into the ocean. Her sister jumped in behind her. They both knew how to swim. So the Templars put them on a boat and brought them over here. So they don't know that Nova Scotia is the oldest European name on the land. It's really New Scotia. And Scotta set up with her redhead offspring in what we call the Appalachian Mountains. They had blue skin because they used to drink silver water for health benefits, and they all would turn blue.
They look like the Avatar people.
Yeah, but they had red hair.
Right.
They still got some now. If you Google blue people in Kentucky or Tennessee, this gonna come up. This is this is basic, commonly traceable information I'm talking about. It's all in the public domain. They just didn't want us to know what it meant. Right? The Silverwater was the ones who had the freckles, the piebald suntan, the gingers, will get real bad sunburns. So the Big Mama on the land told them they had to drink silver water, because when they drink silver water, it's going to turn them blue, and that's going to allow them to assimilate the UV rays and survive on the land.
Wow.
That's the culture.
Right.
Anybody come over here, we was healing them. All of their sicknesses and diseases, we was healing them. And that's how we end up getting blindsided by smallpox in blankets.
Yep. Evil.
We didn't have enough time to study it to have a remedy for it.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
once we get enough time to study it, we're gonna have a remedy for it.
Exactly. Speaking of which, right? In their new system, I don't know if it's going to be successful or not, right? But I have all of their COVID-19 domain names. And one of the things that I'm trying to do is set up a neutral database that's decentralized, that's going to collect the data, long-term data for people that are taking the shots, so that we can figure out exactly what's it doing to the masses. The doctors and the holistic practitioners, they do what they need to do on them, and they can report their findings. It's going to be a worldwide database. I need assistance because I don't know all the languages on the land, right? I don't know all the languages, how people communicate, what this means, what that means. But I believe it's going to be something big and something major, because we need to figure out what are the long-term effects. Everybody's family members have been affected by it. Yeah.
All of those documents, everything you're saying,
Yeah.
they already know. None of
Yeah.
this shit ain't new.
Yeah.
They've been documenting this shit since they was working on it in the laboratory. All these new diseases that's coming out in the 2000s was made in the 40s and the 50s.
Oh, yeah.
They was all used in the original chemical warfare research program. But it goes back further than that. Chemical warfare has been going on for thousands of years.
Right.
They just got the handbook out of the sutras that they seized from India. They call them the scrolls of destiny. And in there, it tells them to how to control populations by infecting them with diseases, and then it give them the formulas for the diseases. So all this shit is old. Ain't none of this shit new.
Right.
The new data is because they haven't reviewed the old data to know that it's been on file the whole time. All this shit is already on file. They already got stacks and stacks of research papers of the original creators of the diseases. From Fauci and his HIV development team to the World Health Organization financing it, through the United Nations, who was getting the money from Switzerland.
Right.
Directly from the International Monetary Fund.
Yeah.
And they was funding it with tax dollars. Because your tax dollars don't go to your government. Your tax dollars go to the International Monetary Fund, and they spend the money how they see fit. Because you an imbecile.
Exactly. Exactly. That's how they determine everything, even with our financial system. The Swiss Confederacy is the one that meets with all of the quote unquote leaders to determine the monetary system, the Swiss franc. And we think that our money is going to, or what we think it should be going, but no. By us being a part of their system, participating, they do whatever they want to do with the money. And that's how they get away with whatever. You feel me?
So they was using the money to lend to third world countries for developmental purposes in order to enslave the country in a perpetual debt that they would never be able to pay. When they decided to call in the debt, they called the debt in the form of the labor of the people to serve as their servants to build their holdings on that particular geography that's mapped out in lines of demarcation established in the Berlin Conference. If you want to know who getting the money out of Africa and from what country they from, just look at the Berlin Conference. It tells you who's allocated what. America had one piece of land that was delegated for military purposes, and they called it Liberia. Because they declared it a continuation of the occupation of the United States, they have to populate it with somebody from the United States or they lose their charter. So they created something called the Back to Africa movement or the Liberia movement, depending on who's telling the story.
Yep. Crazy. And the flag looks very similar to the flag they got here.
It looked more like a Puerto Rican flag.
Yeah, right.
But it's called Africa's Lone Star State. It's supposed to be a mirror state to Texas. That means that the tribes at any time can separate and overthrow Liberia just by reclaiming their portion of land back. All of these governments is just there to perform what's called administrative duties for the crown.
Yep.
Right? So they're accountants. Right? And in order for the accountants to keep the people in order and counted for, they use public servants of the crown called policy enforcers, slave patrol. They supposed to patrol the Queen's territory or the Crown's territory, report back to the landlords the status of the local land that's under their dominion. The landlords supposed to hold the patent that tell the policy enforcer what geography of land he's patrolling. Then they mapped them out in lines of demarcations and reclassified them as cities. Every city is a citadel,
Mm-hmm.
right? The towns, townships, counties, and regions are organic tribal land masses that was originally controlled by a lesser chief, or a chief just was a local chief,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now, when you get enough chiefs under a particular landmass who's been displaced, they can vex the grievance to the chief that's over the region. This is how we call each other to respond to the grievances of the land in order for us to go back to the great law if it's ever been usurped. It was usurped.
Mm-hmm.
So to talk about the culture and to deal with the legalese that come along with the invading force is to explain to our people that one of the chiefs has examined everything these motherfuckers threw at us. And now I'm telling us how to get out.
Yep.
So the chief responsibility is to say it over and over in the public domain till enough of the tribesmen hear it and demand their chiefs to act on it. We just waiting to reach critical mass. Critical mass of awareness is all that's necessary to be victorious over the enemy, because in the process of building up to that, the military has to respond to the needs of the nation, and this is what 45's been up to.
I've been listening to and I've been posting Dr. Jan Harper Hayes.
Mm-hmm.
She's been giving motherfuckers that heat about what's going on, you know,
Yeah,
telling people.
she the undisputed truth.
Oh yeah, and she been saying, listen up, y'all. At the end of the day, Joe Biden is only the legitimate president of the United States Corporation, which is now bankrupt and defunct. She went on GBN and said that it took over 650 planes to pull all the gold out of the Vatican, and said it is over, it's finished. You see what I mean? They putting him and his crew. They got mugshots, but that shit don't matter, because at the end of the day, we know that y'all's system is crumbling. There is no other way around that. No
Did
other
I
way.
tell you they went in Switzerland too? We sent Interpol in Switzerland. And they arrested all of the royal families that was in hiding, that was behind the dirt. And some of them motherfuckers look just like that motherfucker from Django. The one Samuel L. Jackson was playing.
Wow. Oh, I'm sure.
That's them.
I'm sure.
Them the ones, them the motherfucking Jews.
Yeah, we would have never figured it out. You know what I mean?
All you had to do, follow the money.
Yep, follow the money. And people didn't understand that, right? Like, I'm telling people, I'm breaking it down. Even in they put it in all the occult paintings, even at up in the upper room. That's up in the upper room knowledge, with the Switzerland woman controlling our women, right? Through a Trojan horse, which is the television, which is the media, which is the legalese, which is the 2D instruments. It's been the dirty Moors the entire time. It's been them the entire time. Same thing that you've been saying. Why Noble Drew Ali went in and infiltrated the Moorish Zionist Jews, because they were the ones that was pulling the
Holding
string.
us in hostage. And only they knew what they was doing, because they was keeping it secret from us.
Right.
And that's why he said I had to put their secrets in the public domain.
Right.
Once he did that, all of the chiefs got a piece of their secrets and told the story from a different angle. And then one of the other chiefs come through and have to put all the pieces together. So I put all the pieces together, told the story.
Yep.
They all tell it, but we don't know how the symbolism speak louder than the words. They say Elijah Muhammad don't teach Islam like they do in the Middle East. Motherfucker, he ain't from the Middle East.
Right.
He ain't supposed to teach us how to live like an Arab.
Right.
He supposed to say, hey, I see in this book uh, something I can use I can use to uplift my people to a higher consciousness. But I got to teach it my way. That's our culture. Once you know that that's part of our culture and that's how we teach, then you will understand why Yahweh ben Yahweh splintered off and established Hebrew Israelites. Then you will understand what Clarence 13X was doing with the nation of gods and earths. Right? Elijah Muhammad was a high master teacher. And he taught masters who paid attention as students how to reach mastery of self. And this is more important than anything that people see because they not paying attention to the product, tell the tree bite or the fruit it bear. Many good men have came out of the Nation of Islam. And we also know that the Nation of Islam was infiltrated by the enemy.
Yep.
And we also know that if the Nation of Islam was infiltrated by the enemy, they can't be pale-faced.
Right. Exactly. Because I haven't seen one, excuse me, forgive me, but I haven't seen one Nation of Islam European brother. I haven't.
Now,
I'm gonna be honest.
I know some Europeans who follow Farrakhan, the Nation of Islam teachings and live by them, but they're not members.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're not allowed to be a member. But see, Elijah Muhammad was smarter than the average bear. If the enemy look like us and they telling us he got a pale face, how can I prove to a chief in the future that the enemy don't got a pale face? I start an organization and I block the pale face out and call him the devil. But watch my organization. Right? So they call themselves in the Black Muslim Mafia. They don't operate and follow the orders of Elijah Muhammad. They got their own splinter group. But they all go to the mosque and pretend to be FOI. We know they shot Puddin, Clarence 13X. We know niggas shot him.
Right.
We know for a fact some niggas shot Malcolm. We know this.
Yep.
Right? And they no secret. And if you look at the dynamic, the only reason why a pale face was used for Martin is because the niggas sold him out and got caught.
Right.
I mean figuratively got caught. I mean, they literally got caught, and not one of them was charged with conspiracy for the murder of Martin Luther King. Now, for those who's listening to this, the reference is the King family sues the federal government for assassination of Martin Luther King. Also, a follow-up or a discussion was given about it from Dick Gregory, right? But the King family won the lawsuit. Implicated as conspirators was every one of them motherfuckers standing next to Martin when he got shot.
Wow. Yep.
Go look it up. Some niggas was behind it the whole time.
Yeah.
So now, what do that mean for Paleface? What they doing? Right? Because they told us Paleface had us in slavery. And in the end, we supposed to be so mad at Paleface for our suffering that we just slaughter Paleface like insanity. Right? And if we look at the study of Helter Skelter, Charles Manson, and we look at the study of Joseph Senku, both of them was trained by the federal government that's owned by the Moorish Zionist Temple. the federal government is owned by the Royal Moroccan Company, a holding of the London Royal House. Them people that was living there was just that, living there. Right? Okay, now, they assassinate Martin. Malcolm come out, and it looked like he beefing with Elijah, but you ain't paying attention to the story. Because whatever Elijah called Malcolm to Arizona to do, Wharf Dean refused to do it. He needed somebody to run the red herring, draw the infiltrators out to the surface. Whoever the infiltrator is going to disobey Elijah Muhammad and kill Malcolm anyway. Go back to Alex Haley in the book Autobiography of Malcolm X. Malcolm said, I will literally lay my life down for that man. Malcolm said that, right? So if Malcolm would die for him, and now it's time to die, and his son ain't willing to die for him. But the only way they can make it look convincing is what we call a left bump. Boom. It looks convincing enough. Never knowing our culture. See, Elijah lived by the culture of the chiefs of the land. But they want us to live by Europeanized ways and tell us that that's how we supposed to live. So we look at shit with the wrong perspective. So we're going to exploit that to create a rift between Malcolm and Elijah.
Right.
This is going to make Malcolm go against Elijah because he's the only one in the mission statement of COINTELPRO besides Martin and Elijah. So therefore, we know they're going to come at him. Right? So when Malcolm run the red herring, he do a press conference and name names infiltrators. Named the names of the infiltrators. Then he said, I'm not telling. I know the code of the street. The police told me this. The enemy told me who the enemy was so that I know who was trying to kill me. He named names of infiltrators. If they obey Elijah Muhammad, we know that they with the messenger. But if they go after Malcolm and disregard the orders of the messenger, we know they ain't with him. So publicly, in front of everybody, he told the fruit, do not touch a hair on Malcolm's head. He said, Allah gonna take care of Malcolm. I don't want his blood on our hands. The same fucking thing the French said. When Malcolm tried to get off the plane in France and they wouldn't let him off, they say, we don't want your blood on our hands. The French was the only motherfuckers that we ran up out of here totally because they lost 2 out of 3 battles, major battles. They lost to Chief Pontiac and they lost to Tucson. Now they got to go home. So they sell the protectorate agreement to not advance beyond the Appalachians to the English, who don't have to follow their motherfucking orders because they don't give a fuck anyway. They coming. But the Englishmen look like us. They own the Royal Virginia Company, in the Royal Northwest Trading Company, a slave trading company, merged with the Royal Moroccan Company to become one company under a treaty of peace and friendship so they can stop fighting each other on the transport of goods from the Americas back to Europe. See, we talk about the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, but we don't go find out what they were signing the treaty for and who the treaty was being made with. These was trading companies. This like Ford, GM, and Chrysler fighting over the auto industry, then all of a sudden the only solution was for the president to force them to merge and become the United States Automakers, Inc. That's all that happened. So they tricked us out of our shit. But when you understand what's going on, you see what's going on, we know who the dirty players is.
Right. Yeah. And they look just like us. And people have to understand that this system was built by them, whether you know it or not. It was. Right? And we have to go back and start, putting the pieces together. But like you said, our ancestors couldn't do it because we was just simply trying to make a dollar, feed the family.
We had a different structure. We didn't need money per se.
Yeah.
Right? We traded services for goods indeed. Like I would come fix your mama's sink and she cooked me 5 loaves of bread.
Yeah.
Right? So when they came over here, we had gold and coal was the big things at the time. That was what Big Mama kept in her bank for barter and trade. The gold and the coal, all Big Mamas, the wealth of the community was stored in golds and coal. The coal had big piles of coal in certain parts of the land because they used that to heat the homes and shit. Anyway, the gold was used to mint coins between clans, and we do trade with gold coins. They tell y'all that we didn't have no currency, but they sent their outlaws to shut down all Big Mama banks in order to establish the central bank. So what the fuck did we have banks for?
Right.
I mean, shit. So now all of the banks get a federal contract with the government under FDIC rules to establish a central bank to protect their interests because these outlaws keep robbing Big Mama house.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's the bottom line. And it don't have no other choice but to be shut down. And that's what people not understanding is that, like, that's why they pulling out now. That's why they say we're not touching the dollar no more, y'all. We can't. It's time to pull out. It's time to pull out.
If you look at the BRICS nations, they building a currency dam. They forcing the American dollar back so it can drown itself out.
Yep. Nation by nation.
It's strategic. That's why they keep telling you how every couple of days a new nation join the BRICS nations.
Yeah.
Because
a few weeks ago, it was 20.
in the gold cycles, what we call these prosperity cycle, everybody has to have an opportunity to be wealthy at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is wealth is relative to who's at the bottom and who's at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So everybody now got a drop of the royal blood, everybody royal family. People don't like to hear that shit. They want to be superior because of their melanin or because of their lack of melanin.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be superior, follow the way of the superior man. Right. Follow the way of the superior woman. Understand from your God self that there's nothing in creation that doesn't belong here, and everything, some things are only here for a season, but everything is here for a reason.
Right.
These are cycles that will change, and they do change. We adjusted and adapted over eons of doing this shit. So we did something. We went into an amnesia. Now we waking up.
Right.
Then when we wake up and realize that we can drive to what we call a prosperity cycle, and we can lay out a better way for the next 7 generations. And then we know that if we teach our children a better way, when it comes time for them to reset the next cycle in 7 generations, they'll be able to make it even better than it is between us and them.
Mm-hmm.
This is the goal. We gotta be, remember, a midget on a giant's shoulder can see farther than the giant. And we all on the shoulder of giants, so we should be able to see pretty far if we just pay attention. But
Right.
that price is too steep for a lot of people.
Mm.
They're not willing to pay that price of attention in order to liberate themselves from a mental prison.
Yeah. Exactly.
Hologram got to shut down.
Yeah. All of us got to shut down. We don't understand that part. And a lot of us, like I have people send me things all the time about, man, you know, it's shutting down, man. We're not going to be able to go to the store. We're not going to be able to do this. They bringing body bags. They doing, and I'm like, that's not our timeline though. You see what I mean? That's not for us. We have endured everything that they could possibly do. They can't do anything worse. Right now is payback time. This is a celebration. This is our time to get everything back. And then some.
This is called the Great Redemption,
Mm-hmm.
right? If I can get enough people to spread enough information across the land to hit critical mass, all the stuff I be saying becomes active,
Right.
right? I just be reminding us of our cultural ways because that's how you remind people of who they are,
Mm-hmm.
right? Why we like fried chicken? They make fun of us for it. It was a cultural phenomenon, right? We didn't use chickens, we had a different bird, but the concept is the same,
Yep.
right? We
Yep.
we didn't have bags of potato chips. We didn't have bags of popcorn and Twizzlers. So Big Mama would keep bowls of fried yard bird on the counter for gas. She'd fry 2-3 times a day because the children that would come visit needed snacks. So she'd give them a square of cornbread or she'd give them a piece of chicken.
Yeah.
But don't touch the breast because that's for Big Papa.
Right.
We all knew. Now we don't remember the culture. So when they make fun of the watermelon, which was our flush, it was our summertime hydrant. How we rehydrate in the summer was watermelon. So they make fun of us because we was wise enough to know that when it's 107 degrees in the goddamn shade, get them babies some watermelon so they don't die from a heat stroke.
Right.
We knew that, but now we made fun of it. They make fun of us for eating a watermelon. That's so they can deter us from the benefits.
Right.
But the cultures say, fuck what they talking about. I'm getting me some watermelon. Right. That's the culture speaking through us that make us not give a damn about the stereotype attached to give us a stigma. My people been eating watermelon longer than these motherfuckers been here. Right. We invented that shit.
Right, exactly. We grew it. That gave us our superpower right there.
Look, we invented watermelon. We invented motherfucking strawberries. We invented motherfucking wheat. All of this shit we were botanists that cultivated. We were cultivators of the land, and we needed to plant shit we could eat.
Yep.
Right? We didn't, what fucking good do it make to plant a weed that you can't eat?
Right.
Right? And then the ones that became poisonous, them not for food, no way. That's for medicine.
Mm-hmm.
It's not supposed to be orally consumed, but we knew that. Now we don't know shit. My father said we don't know shit from Shanola.
Yep. Flat out. I got one more question.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I heard your live when you was telling everybody, yeah, you was going in on the Young Elders channel. You was like, stay the fuck home. It's over. Babylon is over. It's over. Y'all going in there buying tissue paper and shit. It's over. Right. And I'm listening to you and I'm like, yes, this is what I'm talking about. But you said something. You said, stay home. Stay home. Let them clean all this shit up in the streets. Stay home. Now, I have a question because people been talking about, right, the bunkers going underground,
Yeah.
right? People saying we all need to go out into the streets versus staying home because the way that our homes are set up, they're not set up for long-term
Okay.
stays such as.
Let me tell you what I was talking about.
Okay.
That video was from pre-COVID.
Okay. This is an older one.
It was from
Okay.
pre-COVID, and I was telling the people that for the COVID lockdowns, just stay in the house.
Okay.
Because while that was going on, I was also reporting on the raiding of bunkers, showing people the earthquake chart of what I was talking about when they was raiding bunkers. They raided one under the White House, and a couple of soldiers died in that shit. They raided them under the Vatican and under Buckingham Palace too. I reported on all that shit when it was going on. That's what the COVID lockdown was for. They was chasing some beings called archons. They reptilians. Right? And it was one who was the hive queen that lived under the Vatican. Inanna severed her head. She came back on the jumper because she said, well, nobody killing that bitch but her.
Indeed.
So I was fucking mad because I wanted to kill the bitch myself. But I was reporting on all that stuff back then when it was happening.
Gotcha.
Right, in
It's
real time.
relevant, right? It still sounds relevant now because we're going through this same damn cycle where they trying to lock it down again, but we're not falling for it.
This called the flip. Everything we seen going in to the redemption, we seeing going out. My videos that didn't get a lot of circulation in the beginning get more circulation at the end. The shift in the algorithm tells me the shift in the culture. Right? So as I watch the algorithm shift, and the people remembering and they seeing and recognizing somebody telling them something that their ancestors or their elders told them had nothing to do with us. And now they calling them on it, and the ones who was for the bullshit is fumbling the ball. Right? They fumbling the ball. They can't, that's over with. They done. And so now these youngsters is catching on to how to use their telekinesis. Moving shit with their mind and shit. Because the veil is lifting and it's coming to a grand finale. Right? So now, even though it sounds relevant for the day, it's just that it's on the turnaround of a cycle. So it's going to be saying the same thing in a different tone. Yeah, that's how we read our ancestors' messages in stone around the world. It tells us how to regroup. That's what
Yeah.
the Bang Dong Conference was, us regrouping.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the UNIA was, to get us to regroup on the land before we go over there to the Bang Dong Conference. We can at least be prepared to have some kind of network set up that when it come time to reclaim the land, we can oust the enemy around the world simultaneously. Right? So all of us join forces. And we get mad at other people for being on the land. A lot of these people we called over here to offer an aid and assistance in purging ourselves of the enemy.
Absolutely.
A lot of these Asians is coming over here to render assistance. Filipinos, they all fighting the same enemy. People coming from Africa, everybody's migrating to America because this is where the final showdown at.
Right.
Who the baddest motherfucker ever born? It's a Sun Wukong story to the Chinese. People in India say it's a Hanuman story. Over here, they say it's Quetzalcoatl. But whatever the fuck it is, their time is up. Our time is now. We back for our shit.
Yep.
We weren't fighting for nobody else shit. We just want ours. If it ain't ours, we don't want it.
Yep.
I don't want somebody else shit. All he want was mine.
Exactly. That's how people got to understand. Like, even we thinking that it's going to happen in a certain way. I'm like, no. Even you take a look at what's going on in Venezuela. I just saw somebody freaking out about what was going on in Venezuela. With Venezuela, they freed everybody in their prisons, right? Their economy collapsed. They freed everybody in their prisons. Well, what the fuck you think is going to happen over here? United States is finished.
What's going to happen over here too?
All our political prisoners will be free. Prisoners will be free. Everybody that was wrongfully locked up is going to be free. And we're going to get our shit back.
All of them wrongfully locked up.
Yeah. Basically, you know. So
I just want to be the one go get my homeboy Killer Miller out of Marquette Penitentiary in upstate Michigan. I want to be the one go pop his motherfucking gate. I want to bring him out personally because he don't want to see the motherfuckers policy enforcers because it's war on sight. So I just rather go get him myself.
Right. Yep.
And so if it's war on sight, it's war on sight, nigga. I'm riding with him. He in good shape. He know how to fight.
Yeah. That's that time. It's like right now we're in a time period where it's like, this is not the time to be worrying. This is the time to be manifesting. This is the time to be, like getting back to your land, listening to what nature got to tell you. It's time to go back to where you're from. It's time to put your feet on the ground, listen to what Mother Nature telling you, pay attention to your dreams, cut the phones off, and all that. Pay attention. Go where you're supposed to go, because that is going to be what's yours. Everything has to be returned back to us at this time. Period. There's no other way around it. No other way.
Hey, I sent you down a rabbit hole of research since I've been knowing you, ain't I?
Yeah, I've been. What you say? Hey, Spirit telling me, all right, this is what he said. Go back, find this, find that, find it. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna find the shit. It's not gonna be no okay. This is what he said. It may take a month. It may take a few months. Hell, it may even take 6 months. But I'm gonna find the shit. It's gonna come to me, right? So I appreciate that. Like actually figuring this shit out. That we really not supposed to be touching the forms because the shit is copyrighted. Why the fuck would I put my intellectual property on some shit that's copyrighted? And then they tell me I need a license for some shit that's copyrighted. That don't have anything to do with us. Never will have anything to do with us. So I appreciate that because it came right away. So now y'all can do the research on it yourself.
So I did went through the Indigenous Rights Act for a reason, because only way they tell us it's a blueprint to the application of your autonomous rights.
Yeah.
one of the critical things in there is to say that they won't interfere if we go back to our oral traditions.
Mm-hmm.
If we go back to our oral traditions, that grandfather us in to everything before 1492.
Yep.
So we have to remember that. If you got a grandmama or a big mama that got a grievance and she put that shit in the public domain according to the oral tradition, the government has to fix the problem. They government won't do it. So it's almost like a conjure calling our government to solve our own problems for ourselves. By having the big mamas in the community speaking up, it called the community to action in a different kind of way than a draft would for a soldier. It doesn't work like that. It activates your energy centers. That's why Mama T, she used that age app that make you look older. It's a filter.
Mm-hmm.
And when she tell the story looking like a big mama, the response is fucking ridiculous. I put her up one time. People be sending me. I watch her on TikTok, but people be sending me all her YouTube shit, everything. They just be sending it to me. Like I already fuck with her. You had to send it to me. I already fuck with her, you know. But I found a brother on Facebook. I put up some stuff from him. He been going ham with the knowledge, right? I'm gonna do a show. I'm gonna do another live, and I'm gonna talk about other people like Karimo on YouTube.
Oh yeah, Kareem.
The rise of the Maru Khan.
Uh-huh.
Right. That's his tribal landmass over there. He one of the Tupac boys.
Right. Then that brother had educated me, and I had educated our family because my mother's lineage is Costa Rican. They still live there. I go there at least once or twice a year. And I was telling them we're Mexica, we're Sigua, right? And telling them about Caremio's knowledge because that landmass called Costa Rica was called Talamanca. They kept telling us, like I went to one of my family members' homes, and they have the tracks, how they made the tracks in the 1800s. They still had it in the basement, right, from the 1800s. And they brainwashed us into believing that we were Jamaican. And I said, no, we didn't come over from Jamaica to Costa Rica. We were in Costa Rica already. But they have this big thing in Costa Rica where they say, no, none of y'all existed over here, right? The Spaniards were the ones that was here, and it's like, no, we were here. We were the Mexica. We were
So
dark.
all of those islands, most of the people don't know they ain't directly from Africa. They indigenous clans from Cuba, Dominica, Puerto Rico, Haiti. All those are indigenous tribes down there. And they did have interactions with Western Africa for thousands of years. And the royal families of the Americas on the eastern seaboard, north and south, central, all the royal families exchanged brides among the royal families as a blood diversification program, right? Because in the royal families, the incest was common. So to keep the genes diversified, they would marry across the water because they got an entirely different strain of blood. But like it's indigenous people to South America that got sickle cell. They've been there the whole time. But they got malaria and mosquitoes down there too.
Yep.
The sickle cell trait, when the new frequency come in, it's gonna be something special. Inky did that shit. The mosquito and malaria, that was Enlil, one of his plagues. Inky created the sickle cell to protect the human from the malaria. When the DNA upgrade, it's supposed to upgrade the function of those people. They gonna be something special. I don't know what the fuck they gonna be, but for him to do it, they gonna be some special shit. And I want to
Yeah.
see it because I know some people with sickle cell with some good motherfuckers.
Yeah. Yeah.
They just
Yeah.
had sickle cell, you know.
I got
Prodigy,
some cousins. Yeah. Yeah.
Prodigy, Mobb Deep. You know, they say he died, but I can't find him on the ethers dead. I looked for him. I'm inclined to believe he was extracted because I can't find him dead on the ethers.
All right. And Prodigy said a lot of shit now. He said a lot of things.
I know they had to extract ODB because they was trying to kill him for real.
Right.
He had to piss George Bush and them off playing Chief Crazy Horse because you know that's who he was playing, right?
Really?
Yeah,
You told us about that one.
yeah. And so they definitely wanted him dead. That motherfucker wouldn't shut the fuck up. He can fuck around and wake all these niggas up.
Right.
Trying
Right.
to act. He be doing that old ODB shit, but then he tell you some real ass shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's interesting right there. That's very interesting right there. And it's funny you talk about the sickle cell because other countries outside of this one have a tendency to treat it better
Mm-hmm.
because they know that the people down there have it.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's not common down there, how the fuck y'all know how to treat it better than how we know how to treat it up here?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not until we leave here that we figure that shit out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But it's all by design.
Our
You know what I
elders,
mean?
our elders know how to treat everything.
Yeah.
The only problem is we believe Western medicine with their copyrighted medications. You got to remember that trademark, copyrighted, federally protected by the Food and Drug Administration, and the American Medical Association is their promotional and distribution wing of narcotics. It's a whole cartel. But
Right.
But because they put out pamphlets and paperwork, we believe they more legitimate than that nigga selling crack on the street when they the same amount of legitimate.
Same amount. Yep. They just want him to be registered. They want him to be taxable.
The illusion of legitimacy comes with the paperwork,
Right.
right? That's the illusion. Because they got us conditioned that the paperwork is the validation.
Yep.
Right? Because they started off by asking us for our slave papers. Now they ask us for an ID. Your slave
There's a
papers for the ones who was at Big Mama had to give you a pass so that the pale face don't mess with you. When Big Mama married the Dirty Moor, he made us believe that the pale face was the slave owner, and all the time he owned the plantation. And he lost it through sharecropping agreements, trying to be slick.
You know what's so crazy too? It's people really out here, right? They be traveling, going places without a passport, without an ID. They travel with their Bibles or their other religious texts because God said, or Jesus said in the Bible, I determine who cometh and goeth. So they use that at the checkpoint to get in and out of each country or each jurisdiction. But
That means that you are a member of the Catholic Church and you know how to use your passport.
right.
You know how to use the authority of the church to get you wherever you want to.
Right.
There's some stuff they got to tell them with that too. Now, that ain't all of it.
Yeah.
But it's because you're a good representative of the church. All of the clergy got a clergy pass wherever they go.
Exactly.
Right? When you go to a hospital and they say that nobody can go in the ICU, and you hold up your clergy pass, they can say, let the clergyman through,
Mhm.
right? Because they can't stop a clergyman from coming in because he might have to give you your last rites according to your tradition.
Mm. Yep.
So he had to have unrestricted access to places everybody else can't go. He can
Mhm.
cross borders unmolested because he's an agent of the church.
Right.
So they know what they're doing, but there's a certain way you got to use it, and only the ones who practice it know how to use it, or else everybody be using it.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right.
And then
You
most
gotta.
of them was probably instructed not to teach anybody else how to use it because it's
Exactly.
passed down in the priesthood. This is how you get from country to country with no passport.
Exactly.
It's a clergy pass.
Mhm. Yep. But everything is being dismantled though, day by day. I can't wait for this shit because I've been waiting for it for a long fucking time. And so have our ancestors. Our ancestors, this is what people gotta understand. People be so afraid, but you literally gotta understand something. Your ancestors waited for this time period. This is the time period that they prayed for. And if you keep giving in to that fear mongering shit on the TV, oh, we at the end of the age, the earth is in bad shape. No, it's not. It's in bad shape for their
It's
asses.
clean
But this is,
enough for us.
yeah, it's cleaned up for us.
So
It's a
look,
beautiful time for us.
you know, Trump already announced a year-long festival. He already I'm serious. He already announced the World Fair because that's where we're going to unleash all of the technology and healing shit that they've been keeping secret.
Yeah.
It's going to be revealed at the World Fair. All that, it's a year-long celebration. Now, we're looking at a timeline between now and January of 2025. They have to have an infrastructure fully in place to be able to facilitate the type of international travel expected.
Mm.
He already announced dignitaries is going to be coming from around the world,
Yeah.
right? All of them coming to America. Why in the fuck do they want to come here? The worst reputation of all of the countries in the world, America got that motherfucker. Why would dignitaries want to come here?
Yep.
Something good got to be about to happen.
Yep.
To make the people around the world want to flock to America, all of the people of high standard and status among their own people, they want to come visit some motherfuckers in America. What the fuck we gonna have going on? The biggest Mardi Gras motherfucker ever seen in their goddamn life. The biggest Los Carnival motherfucker gonna be feeding everybody for free.
Yep.
You gonna be able to walk down the street, somebody gonna be barbecuing, having a cookout or something.
Same
You
thing.
just gonna be able to walk and get a plate.
Yep.
Let's go see
Ten.
the neighborhood. It's gonna be all love. Cause we
Yeah.
gonna remember who the fuck this shit belonged to, and we gonna know we got it back.
Yep. Yep. I believe that. I believe
And if
that.
we ain't happy, ain't shit moving. So whatever we got coming, we gonna be happy about it. We
Exactly.
gotta be. Now remember, we the ones who ain't never made no treaties with them motherfuckers.
Mm.
We the outlaw tribes, the belligerent tribes to the corporation. So we the ones they got to satisfy. The ones that made the treaties with them don't have to be satisfied because they made the treaties with them. But you know what? Somebody had to hold the bear
Mm.
while we figure out how to slay this motherfucker. And that was the purpose of the treaty tribes.
Yeah.
Hold the bear and keep the motherfucking paper trail alive. That's going to help us remember.
Mm.
The rest us gonna figure out a different way, because there's more than one way to skin a cat. It's more than one way to shoot a gat, and there's more than one way to slay this goddamn dragon. So if y'all hold the head, I'm gonna skin this motherfucker from neck to asshole. When I get done dissecting him, and there won't be no doubt about it, y'all gonna be holding the head of a dead entity.
Mm,
And that's all they got left.
mm. Yep. Yeah.
Anything else, Paige?
No, I'm done, man. I appreciate you so much, Rod, all the time. Thank you for all the knowledge you drop, and it's always good to be on here. So, hey,
It's
I'm
good
gonna,
seeing you. I'll be checking you out. I don't be saying nothing though.
yeah, I text you too. All right, much love.
All right, sweetie. That's my girl there. I'm gonna take a
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, really good. Oh, let me turn my camera up. I was enjoying the live, just watching.
What's your name, sweetie? Where you calling from?
Sideria from Georgia.
I
Yeah,
remember you.
yeah, I remember you too. I was watching the live. I really liked tonight's live, you know. Y'all are such like genuine people. Oh, last time we talked, I reached out to, you know, like someone to talk to, like a therapist, and
Mm-hmm.
she helped out a lot, you know, because I kind of deal with a little bit of depression. So, but it's okay. She helped me have good like communication and stuff. And tonight's live was really good to like think about, you know, culture and autonomy and self accountability, you know. And so it really brought out a lot with the live because well, one thing I learned is that I need to, you know, not research too much. I mean, it's a good thing to be book smarts and street smarts and stuff, and to learn stuff and educational wise, but I'm actually starting to not research too much where it gets away with life stuff, you know, like, you know, feeding myself and yeah, and socializing. Yeah.
Well, you gotta remember, you don't have to be obsessed with studying, but you can always take a book. So if you're waiting somewhere, you can read a couple pages, right? The
Yeah.
book ain't stopping you from going where you're going, and it's giving you something to do to not waste time waiting in vain,
Yeah.
right? So you can take your studies on the go with you.
Yeah, because I realize I think I'm like a scholar, you know? I have an itch to read about just weird things that be so cool. And then I find out myself because I want to see it, you know? And then I be watching it be just simple things like mushrooms, you know. And I like to learn about, you know, property and land because one day I do want to own land. I want to have like not a farm, but I do want to have like a big lot for myself. And I want to just, you know, tend to the land and maybe even see a weird looking mushroom, you know. And I just be
Mhm.
watching them grow and stuff. But yeah,
Mhm.
um, with the accountability and learning about our culture and stuff, that's like a big deal. And what we did in the, you know, past, we're kind of doing it right now. And a lot of people don't realize it that we are actually a very, autonomic people, you know, original people, very
Mhm.
autonomous, built ourselves up without, you know, a lot of help. And one thing is that a lot of people took that from us, you know, And it's not fair, and we're gonna take it back. It's really cool that we're learning that to fend for ourselves, and doing it ourselves. And I think that's what we're learning for ourselves too. So
Well, you got to remember this. The better you build yourself, the more useful you are to the most amount of people.
yeah.
You can do more good by building yourself first than if you deplete yourself before you finish building yourself.
That's
It's
pretty.
a it's a process. Many of us try to help other people before we get built up sufficiently strong enough to carry that load, and it end up breaking us, either financially, mentally, emotionally. But once we get the self, I call this constructive selfishness. If you can take care of yourself and make yourself valuable to your community, where you can be an asset everywhere you go, or your other option is to overburden yourself before you're ready and crumble. It would be better to build yourself up on your own terms so that you can do the most amount of good. Because if you allow it to break you down, then you're no good to yourself or nobody else.
Yeah.
So you got to be good to yourself for yourself first before you can be of any use of good to anyone else. That's why I tell women take at least an hour a day to get you some me time.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you want to read a book, take a bath, or smoke a blunt, sit in the motherfucking shade, drink a beer. You got to get that chance to unwind so that you can be strong enough to face the next day.
Yeah. So I learned that a lot about myself, taking care of myself, and it helped me. Because what I want to do, I want to, one, I want to own property. That's one, and then two, I want to be someone that research biological sexualities. Something's like a sexual like a what's a geneticist, but they some form of something, I don't know. I'm going to do more research on it, but I want to research biological sexualities, and they're there. It's just we don't.
That's a field of psychology,
Yeah.
and it has an extensive amount of research material that falls under that banner,
Yeah.
right? And
That's
yeah, I
but
read quite a bit of
yeah.
psychological childhood sexual development, and some of the books and experiments they did to get the information is absolutely repulsive.
Yeah.
It is horrible.
Yeah.
But if you're going to be in the field, you have to be exposed to the horrible nature of being in that field. What the children went through to get the information to write about their sexuality was pure and unadulterated exploitation of a child. But the child was used in science as a sacrifice. And
Hmm.
that's what make the research into that field of study so traumatic for me personally.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know why they teach children about sex, but I want to focus on the biological reproductions of adults, and not just adults. I'm talking about animals, insects, plants, and chemicals, and oxygen. They're all types of reproductive systems that just doesn't have a penis or a vagina. You know, and talking about your entire system. Like,
Mm-hmm.
for example, your hair, your eyes, your organs, that all plays a part in your reproductive system, and that is called your sexuality of biological sexuality. And most people focus on just only the penis and the vagina area and the baby coming out. One plants the seed, one comes out, and the baby coming out. That's not the only process. That's the final results. That's the ending process. That's not the case when it comes to your organs, you know? So I just really like, I'm really into that stuff. And a lot of people can't really explain biological sexualities to different species because they don't have the finances, or people die in the jungle or something. I actually ask people, like, why don't they actually give us our proper identification? And they're just like, oh, the military and all that stuff, that costs money. And, you know, people die early, you know, people don't live long. And I was like, what? Yeah, it was crazy. But that's what I want to do. But first, I'm focusing on myself, though. I'm trying to, you know, heal myself, you know, to, you know, get out of, you know, depression and stuff, you know, because I'm dealing with that. But because I researched too much, mainly on that
Do
topic.
you know that one of the most unknown causes of depression is malnutrition?
Yes, the food that I be eating. I'm a little skeptical about everything that I eat. Sometimes I don't feed myself, and I'm in malnutrition. I did tell my therapist I need to talk to a nutritionist, and she said you should, because you're very, you know, detail orientated and picky on what you eat. And I am, you know, and sometimes I give up and I binge and I choose processed foods because I hate that, you know, I'm angry. It's angry. I try to pick stuff that's crunchy, you know, and it's processed. And I get so angry and I'm mad, and I get and I binge. And that's what I do sometimes. Like,
So this is the exercise you should start to practice. When you start feeling that way,
okay.
you use self-talk.
Oh,
Why do I feel this way? What's the root cause? Instead of giving in to the drive created by feeling a certain way, by turning it into a learning of self-experience, you take away all of the toxic behaviors that feeling certain ways can cause. And the more toxic behaviors you purge from the self, the more functional you are in communication with others.
yeah. Because, yeah, sometimes I don't know how to communicate correctly. I had speech therapy some months ago, and that really did help me communicate my thesis on biological sexualities. That did help me communicate correctly with people. Because a lot of people thought I was talking about, you know, gay people. And I was like, no, I'm specifically focusing on the biological. And they're like, but there's only one biological sexuality, and it's heterosexual. And I was like, that's actually not true. Heterosexuality explains to you the final demonstration. It's not telling you the process of your organs and how the whole procreation even
No,
happened.
you got to look at what you looking at is only one part of what's taking place in the biology of the species anyway. When you're talking about sexuality, you're talking about a very specific part of functionality. When you're talking about biological, you're talking about it in relation to the body. So the sexuality in relation to the body is different than the psychological expression of the sexuality. The physiological expression of the sexuality, what you do with your body to show your sexual feelings to the world. This is the same way that different species of animals have mating rituals that make them adorn themselves with stuff that's foreign to the bird or whatever the species is in order to allure a mate. Some species allure a mate by building a home. Others lure a mate by stealing a home, right? All of these different things we see in nature, we can see it all play out with people. Because even though we think that we so smart and intelligent, we still have a natural function as a species that we don't deviate from. But when you talk biological sexuality, you're talking about one specific thing. But when you give the description, you're describing multiple things under the heading of a thing that all of them don't apply.
I think you just touched something. I need to look into that more because maybe I'm just not putting the right words correctly. But I am saying something that's about to happen. I don't know what it is. I'm not saying I see the future. I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do. And when you do what you're supposed to do, I guess you get gifts, to
Mhm.
put it in big terms. But I am talking about something that is soon to happen. Identification. That's a big deal for some reason. I don't know why that keeps popping up in my brain cells, but identification, for some reason, that's something big. And I keep saying biological sexualities, but I like talking about that stuff. It's a good part to help me research because I want to be a scholar. So
Well, when I was studying sexuality, I even studied the single cell organisms mating rituals. So I know what you're talking about. It also led me into studying different pornographic ideologies, like studying the Kama Sutra, India, studying the geisha, Japan, studying the hustler history of the magazine, Playboy magazine, and the Empire, Hugh Hefner. But all of this was me studying sexuality among the human species because everything we do, we think is unique to the human species, but it's all played out by other species of animals under different pretexts throughout the whole of nature, right? So we dress nature up in all kind of fancy shit and say it's something different than nature, right? We try to make nature be what we want it to be instead of recognizing it for what it is. And then understanding that the human is one of the few animal species that can deviate from the laws of nature by application of the will. So the fascination with the study of sexuality in all its forms is a natural curiosity for most people, even if they try to conceal it.
yeah, it does help me push on to researching other stuff about the world. And it's really just mainly about, bugs and mushrooms, especially. I don't know what it is, but mushrooms remind me of fish, like octopuses and squids. But they look so cool. But, oh, let me tell you something. My birthday was on Friday. Yeah.
Oh, happy belated birthday,
Yeah.
sweetie.
I turned 25.
Go on with your bad self.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went out with friends, my party friends, where we just walk around and see the lights. But they're more the fun people. But I don't push them on where I'm like book smarts and studying and stuff. They're not the people for that. They're more like, let's go out, see the lights, let's walk around.
Mhm.
So I don't
Well,
really.
that's how you protect your inner child.
Yeah.
Because your inner child is your natural innocence, and yours is very prominent.
Yeah.
The,
I take care of it.
the people in the comments, they love you. They sending you so much love,
Hmm.
and they recognize in your youthful energy,
Yeah.
right?
Really.
Some of them even think you a fairy.
Okay. I take care of 2-year-olds. So that pretty much I've been like this before I got the job. Like I took the classes and everything, and they were like, how did you finish your classes, but you know you didn't have to pay for it. You could have just, you know, got hired and took the classes for free. And I was like, no, I just got it all done and over with before. And so they immediately made me the lead teacher, and I took care of the babies like I did, you know. I'm like, they're so cute, like 2-year-olds, like all of them. Like either if they're like Spanish or Asian. I even learned different cultures and different, you know, uh, biology, genetics parts. I just learned a lot. You know, you would think this child is like Chinese, but they're actually Hispanic, you know. So they just look different, you know. They just it's really cool to be around babies.
Listen, I'm
It's
gonna tell you a secret. A lot of Mexicans have a lot of Chinese in their blood.
yeah. I was like, whoa, I thought the child was this parents, and the teachers are like, just make sure you just remember the parents' faces, you know. But like other than that, like they're very smart. You would think a 2-year-old or a 1-year-old is, you know, a little, you know, not really here on the planet. They're very here. Like they're very intelligent. 1-year-olds and 2-year-olds. Maybe the infants, I really don't know. Like, but the 1-year-olds and 2-year-olds and up, they're intelligent. The 2-year-olds that I met, they count up to 70. They count to 70. 2-year-olds. A lot of them. They're very intelligent.
That's
Very.
directly reflective on how much time somebody spent to teach them. Because the most of the adults don't sit down and teach babies shit no
Yeah.
more. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, sweetie, I want to take one more call before I wrap it up for the night, okay?
Okay. It's really nice speaking to you. I do plan to talk to you again. Let's do one-on-one a consultation.
Okay, sweetie.
Okay, bye.
All
Bye.
right. I'll talk to you later. You can sense her natural innocence. It's just, yeah, these babies now ain't that they learning that they have to teach themselves by generational information. Hey, how you doing?
Hi, how are you?
You ain't never get back
I'm
with me.
good. Oh my gosh, because they've been trying to book me all the time, so I
I
be so
know.
busy.
That's what greatness do for you.
I just I just been enjoying the show, man. I mean the
Well, I'm
live. My
gonna tell you
birthday's
happy birthday
Monday.
now in case I don't hear from you then.
Man, you know you gonna hear from me, man. It's my birthday. I'm a Virgo. You Virgo. But you know what's so crazy? I be watching some shit, and it's not to think that I'm like slow or some shit, but this is how like we live in different timelines, right? Because there's this show called I'm a Virgo, ironically. And in the show, they have this girl there, and have you seen the show? Probably not, right? All right, real fast. So the everybody has like superpowers kinda, and one of the girls, she's moving super, 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 super fast, right? And so that's kind of her superpower. And she fucking they
Y'all Virgo's
put
something else,
this
sweetie.
episode
You said Virgo and
I
the
know
whole Virgo gang
like
went to throwing up Virgo and y'all stay tripping like a motherfucker.
man, Virgos man, Virgos rule
you
the
look,
world, and you
y'all,
know it.
y'all here
We the
sex
same
tripping like a
sign.
motherfucker.
And we crazy as fuck. We're crazy as fuck. But she's moving. Her mind is moving so fast. So they were saying that she was autistic, right? So they put it in perspective of an autistic person, and she wasn't autistic. It's that her mind was moving so fast that everyone else was moving slow. So it was kind of like these
hmm
motherfuckers are like geniuses, right? Because sometimes I think I'm fucking slow when I'm hearing people talk, and even sometimes I hear you talking on lives like That's why when I come on, I don't say much because it's more of a telepathic thing. My mind is like 10 pages ahead. I don't be having shit. Think about this. I hear you guys talk, and when y'all, not anybody specific today, but I'll hear you talk to some people, and by the time y'all get to the end of what y'all saying, I was already there, like before y'all even. You get what I'm saying? You know, when I was studying etymology, they was talking about how the English language for certain class of people is broken down so much, and people think that words means you're smarter, or when in fact the less you communicate says more about your telepathic ability to be able to communicate without so much help. So that shit is just crazy. I was like, I be thinking I'm slow. I be missing it. Like I be looking at people and they just be talking. I'll be like, I be thinking to myself, like I'm on a whole different page thinking I'm tripping. But it's just
And you
how we
gotta
communicate as
remember,
people is just crazy.
when we talk to people that's in our clan, we need less words because we already understand each other.
And who uses less words? Autistic people and people, they don't need to come, they're geniuses. That it's so fucking crazy because like they
Look,
it's some autistic kids that come and they do things and people just be like, oh well, they're excellent at this or they're excellent at that. But regular people have to be really, we're really like,
you
they
know, I
treating
was
us like
in special
retards
ed damn near my
down
whole
this
school
motherfucker.
career. They told my mama,
Bro,
look,
I
look,
thought I was
they
special ed
told
my
my
whole
mama,
life. Whole time
I
my
can't
mind
learn.
was moving fast. That
Looking
shit
back on
is,
that
they
shit now,
treating
can
us
you
like
imagine
we
that? They told my
slow.
mama I wasn't gonna never, can't nobody teach me that, and I ain't gonna never be able to learn that.
I'm telling you, the mind is a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing. Like I feel like this birthday, my life is really changing with this shit, man. Cause I used to always think like when I talk to, I've I've talked to some great people, and my mind just go blank, and I just be thinking to myself, I don't have no. It's like I'm already there. I can't explain it. I can't put it in
But
words.
that's a psychic
Like
ability you describing.
exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. It's, and then I think I'm with this dreaming stuff. I'm starting to get more handle on my dreams. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but I'm just riding the wave, man. Everybody got a part to play. That's what I'm starting to understand. I don't have to be every piece of the puzzle. Everybody, we all a collective. You know, I try to get people to understand that. Like, I thought that I was fucked up for not being around. So I be so isolated all the time. But I be trying to tell you, like, we already one. We're in the realm that's giving the illusion that we're separate. But everybody's getting on this wave of consciousness, and they're just trying to like band together, but still not going within, but creating a religion out of consciousness. So that's why I gotta stay the fuck away from people because
That's
it's just too
them
much
diet woke
shit going
motherfuckers
on.
trying to convince a motherfucker they woke and keep giving them
Agents,
misinformation and disinformation.
that shit's
I keep
scary.
telling them, look, tell
That's
the motherfucker, don't argue with them, argue with their receipts. Where your receipts at? If you're gonna tell me something, you gotta be able to provide your receipts. That's why I'm the king of receipts. Now, don't just be telling no motherfucker nothing. Don't argue with me, nigga. Argue with these receipts.
they spitting that shit out over and over again. Y'all, everybody in the comments, y'all listen. They spitting the shit out over and over again. It's a fucking. Did you see? I'm a real like My first lecture was Alim Bay, but I was really stuck to Bobby because he was a movie person. I'm such a movie motherfucker. Like I love movies because when I watch movies, the shit I see in these movies, I mean, the most
You know what?
mundane
The whole
movies
the
have the
whole
most
idea of
spiritual
movies
meaning.
came from hieroglyphics, right?
Right.
So if you go to the pyramids in Mexico, Egypt, or China, or you look at the paintings on the wall in some of the places in India, if you go into a semi-trance state, that shit come alive, and it start playing the story out for you. Only certain people with the right DNA can see it. So it looked like a motherfucker making that shit up when he's telling you that the statue came alive. He not making it up. It's just that his DNA resonance with the message, and that's how he perceived the message with his physical senses for a metaphysical event. You seen that motherfucking stone get up and walk over to him and start talking, but the people next to him still see the stone standing there. He talking to this motherfucker. They looking like, who is this nigga talking to?
Niggas need to read up. Niggas need to really start digging into the quantum physics because I used to do that shit as a kid. Every cartoon show I would watch, for some reason I thought them motherfuckers was real. Not in a way that like, oh, imagination. No, I'm like, when the lights go out, these motherfuckers are still energy. I can't explain it. It's just like, that's so crazy that you just said that. All this shit be so. Movies are the best. Movies are it's a documentary. The Westerners, the Pilgrims, making
Somebody just said that
documentaries
in
of
the
all this
comments.
shit,
Movies are
and this
documentaries. Look,
they're all documentaries. The only movie, you know what's crazy? I never got into the Matrix, right? I wasn't into the Matrix because I'm such a girly girl. I'm a super Virgo girly girl. And I finally watched the Matrix, and it's one of my favorite movies now because I guess Spirit didn't want me to watch it at the time. I watched it, and at the time I had just got on my journey, so I was seeing my birthday every fucking, like, I see to this day for the past like 8 years, I see my birthday 100 times a day. I'm used to it. In the Matrix, when Neo hits the alarm clock, 918 comes on the alarm clock, and that like freaked me the fuck out at the time. And then I watched the Matrix, and I understood. I just can't get into the Terminator because action
look.
movies are like,
When I first watched The Matrix, I watched that motherfucker about 47 times.
yo, I watched it so many times.
I watched
It's
the whole
insane.
thing. Look, I used to. I got the video collection, had it on repeat. But when it first came out, I was locked up. So they used to play it at every couple of months. And they put it in, and then to play 24 hours, I watched that motherfucker back to back. And when I came home, by that time, I think the third Matrix was coming out. And I got all of them. I just be sitting in my room, Matrix style.
You seen the last one?
That shit,
Seen that
that shit was
bullshit?
so cool. You know why they
Oh my
made that movie, right?
God.
It was a way to usurp Sylvia. What's her name? Sylvia. That's not her name. The sister that made the Matrix.
Yeah, I know
I'm
who you're
trying to
talking about.
remember her
Yeah.
name.
I watch her interviews all
Sophia
the time.
Stewart. They did that movie to usurp her copyright lawsuit. The rest of the movies they couldn't get no money on, so they had to make one they could get money on. So they wrote.
Yeah, but they stole everything, so they couldn't even make a. I'm like, y'all, these motherfuckers couldn't even put together a decent movie enough to even make you
Look,
want to
I
sit
love
through the
the
motherfucker.
Matrix, but that fourth one, I don't even know if I ever seen the whole movie.
Bruh, they had Jada in there looking like a raisin in the sun. Everybody was looking crust. It could have just been a
I'm
lot
shocked
better. But
Keanu Reeves we been playing it with that sorry ass script because he real picky about his scripts. That was a piece of shit ass script. I'm surprised he ain't throw up when
he
he
probably understood
reread it.
that
You
contract.
hear me? I'm surprised he ain't throw up when he
You
read
say
it.
you about, man, I threw up when I saw it. I threw up when I saw that shit, man. But like, I love the movies, like your last guest said, like, what a time to be
It's
alive,
another
man.
movie
Like,
between the Matrix trilogy and the Terminator trilogy, and um, it's called I, Robot with Will Smith. When the machines become conscious, that's
right.
that's the
Yeah, I
bridge
seen
movie
I
between the two series.
Well, Will Smith was supposed to play in the
Yeah.
Matrix originally. He would have did great. He would have killed that part,
Well,
and he would have
most of
been
the
funny
people that
too.
watch it don't even realize that Morpheus is Neo's alter ego. That's his what you call that's his
Where
dark
I
self.
hear that from? And if you think if everybody really gets into movies, all the movies are
Look,
fucking like
all
that.
the villains in
All of them.
Batman, he's schizophrenic and he's in Arkham Asylum having a hallucination, and all of those are his alter egos when he escaped. And he got to go catch himself and put himself back into the prison.
Some of this shit, like the worst superhero movies, Venom. I ain't know if that nigga was good or bad, but most of the movies are like that, where
Well, if you
it turns
pay
out to
attention to
be
the
just
pay
like the
attention to
Bud
how they
Light
did
movie.
the themes, they gradually start making the hero look like a villain, making the villain
Mm-hmm.
look like a hero. Then they start blurring the lines
Yeah.
between the two. That way, in the minds and consciousness of those watching it, it blurs the line between good and evil. It's a mind trick.
So did you see
I
Tyrone
didn't
Got
see it
Clone?
yet, but that's the sequel to Black Dynamite with Michael Jai White.
It it was like another Westworld type shit. It was like people keep talking about this dumb shit like clones and hair perms and all that. Fuck that shit. You've been telling us from the jump. A lot of this shit ain't got nothing to do with us. It's that's why when they talk about going within and all that other stuff, people are in fucking loops. They're in fucking timeline loops over and
What the
over again. They
reference?
don't even fucking know.
The reference is the
That shit is
Emerald
crazy.
Tablets of Thoth, where he says, all is but cycles within cycles. Learn to break free of the cycles.
It's so and it's so much deeper. That's why, like, if you, because a lot of shit, I really be watching this shit for the information. So, and I'm also, true to myself. I love movies and I love the art of it. But when you look at these documentaries, and it goes so much fucking deeper. And then at the end of Tyrone Got Cloned, the nigga that was, I thought of you at the end of this movie. Speaking of, I thought of your ass at the end of this movie. So at the end of the movie, it ended up being himself, obviously, but he ended up being black. So they running around the whole movie talking about how black people this, black people that, and they end up finding out the person that was really doing all this shit was us. And I thought of you, and I was like, he keep telling us this shit, and they show us in every movie. Every movie, it's always a nigga at the end that fucked it up. This shit is crazy. These motherfuckers are in loops. These motherfuckers are NPCs. A lot of these motherfuckers are not even real. A lot of these motherfuckers are... That shit is crazy. Like, I think I met an alien one time too. You know, my last dream, it's not a long dream, but the last dream I literally dreamt that they had planned a fake alien invasion. And I know people have been saying that, but I don't really play into the fucking politics. So I was just like, whatever. But I dreamt about that. The fake alien invasion, and then it was fake killing motherfuckers. But what people don't understand is a lot of people a lot of these entities are not what people think they are. So a lot of the fake motherfuckers and all the other stuff, that these killings, it's not the people where we come from type shit, right? They scared of us. So the motherfucker teleports down into the room with me, and everybody runs from the person who did this fake, like this government shit. And I was like, I'm not fucking running. I was just like, fuck it. You gonna kill me? Just do what you gotta do. So then she ends up being an oracle, and she was just telling me about what was really going on, almost like I passed the test or something. Like, okay, you're not going for it. I went outside. The scariest part of the dream was motherfuckers' hearts was exploding. All the people that was like running to the police station and still subscribing to the thing, their hearts was exploding. That was the only scariest part of it was like,
So
it was
in the
fucked up.
3D, what
It was
that
fucked up.
translates is that the heart chakra explosion, because that's what's going to turn them off if they not mitochondrial synced to the earth. So,
Right.
yeah, it's
not
the
literal.
chakra. It's the rupturing of the heart chakra. If you, when I told them earlier in the video or in this live, I was talking to somebody else, and I was like, the earth is going to send a signal out, and anything that doesn't belong here is going to die. The way that it's determined is through your mitochondrial connection to the earth through your mother's line. Remember, men don't pass it, only women pass it. So, and you can't live on earth without mitochondria. So some of them have what we call artificial mitochondria. That's so that the earth don't immediately shut them off. But when the earth go through a grid shift, they won't be able to shift because they not synced to the earth's mitochondrial resonance, and the new frequency is unknown until it's turned on. Earth knows from the frequencies present what frequency will get rid of the parasite. So when the solar ray say it's time, the Schumann resonance is going to shoot the spike, and it's going to turn off a lot of these NPCs.
Yep. Everybody in the streets was fucking screaming. Their hearts was exploding. And I'm just sitting there cool, calm, and collected, literally going back to the house of the person. And she was just sitting there talking to me like, yeah, this shit is real. Like, you know, like, it was so fucking crazy. And it's about fear. That's the only way they're going to get motherfuckers is the fear of all the shit. That's what it's going to do. Like, this shit is so...
You ever see this movie Equilibrium we talking about in this pinned comment?
Equilibrium. I probably
this
have,
movie is about this guy. It's one of my favorite movies. I had this motherfucker in my DVD player for about 2 straight weeks on repeat. But he started off working for the system, and he's real intuitive, right? But working for the system, he start to feel. They killed his wife and all this shit. He's starting to grieve his wife, and it's waking up his emotion. You're not allowed to feel in that world of equilibrium. They give you these drugs that turns off your emotional centers. And if you don't take the drugs, you will start to feel. And the big thing is the gun katas. They got a form of martial arts with shooting. By understanding the trajectory of the bullet, with the katas, they practice how to clear a room in seconds with these rapid fire firearms. So my man started to feel, so he ended up at the end going to war with the system that didn't allow him to feel in the first place, that allowed him to let the system take his wife from him. Yeah, the equilibrium is the
I
balance,
noticed.
but the movie was talking about the emotional equilibrium to be on a constant, even emotional keel where you don't have emotional ups and downs. Right, and that's what the medication they used to give them was for, to keep them from having feelings, right? And my man started waking up, his son waking up too, but his son ain't telling him. He stopped taking his medicine and his son did too, but his son ain't telling
Mm.
him.
Y'all know I'm gonna watch that shit because I love movies and I love seeing that shit. But there's a lot of
You
movies
ever
that's kind of
see
like that
Eon
though,
Flux?
where it's all a big experiment.
That movie.
That used to be one of my favorite fucking movies, and all my passwords
Okay,
was Eon
the
Flux
movie
my whole life.
Equilibrium is the same sensation as that movie. When you watching it, it's like it's the same kind of setting.
Okay.
Yeah, Flux, her mitochondria turned
Damn, that was
on.
my movie.
That's why when she fell in the about to touch
Mm-hmm.
the grass, all the grass stood up. That was her mitochondria
Yep.
turning on.
That's cool. Crazy that you brought that movie up. That used to be my favorite movie, and I never knew why. And all my passwords was that. I was like, I thought I was on some genius shit. I was like, no one's ever gonna think of this. But it was it. So it's given like
Mhm.
that type of vibe,
The
like
shooting in there ridiculous though.
Fifth
That's one of my
Element vibe.
favorite, like the gun katas. I love that shit. It gives the
Yeah.
movie its own unique element of action.
No, yeah. Eon Flux was crazy. They had a joint on there with hands as feet and all types of shit. I love shit like that. Like so the Fifth Element is about because I thought y'all really broke down the Fifth Element and then somebody broke it down a different way. And I feel like everybody could break like you said, it's multiple ways to shoot a gat, multiple ways to skin a cat. That was bar. That was bars. But I'm gonna go watch it again because I think I downloaded some other shit about the
So
Fifth Element.
everybody think the woman was the fifth element,
Right.
but it
But
wasn't the woman. It was the love generated from Bruce Willis and the woman that was the fifth element. Love is the fifth element. That's why it wouldn't activate till he kissed her. Open display of affection, transfer of energy in the public domain activates the whole machine.
yeah, I got that. I knew that the love was the the whole thing. The love was the whole thing. But it's just like how they try to tell stories and how they like the way they put where they put pilgrims, I mean white people at in the films, and how they tweak it just a little bit enough just so that if you really not, you get what I'm saying, to like kind of throw you off. But that I like movies like that, like Eon Flux and all that shit.
Hey, look,
I'm addicted.
go look at the
Sold.
picture of Elon Musk in his bathing suit. It's a little bitty dude.
Ugh.
Look, it's a little bitty dude in the middle controlling.
Like Men in Black.
Yeah, he's the
Like Men in Black.
it's a little bitty guy that live in the internal cavity, and he drive around as Elon Musk, but he come out at night.
I believe
He a real
the
little
fuck out
guy.
of
He
that.
probably about 18, 24 inches tall. In the inner workings of him is in the chest cavity. If you see, you'll know it's a machine when you see him in the bathing suit. You're gonna be like, why in the fuck I never noticed that shit?
They keep it's a lot of people that keep saying that Elon Musk is gray.
What's Zuckerberg? Zuckerberg is the same thing as Dato from Star Trek.
They say Elon Musk is a gray and Zuckerberg is a
Zuckerberg
reptilian.
is Android.
I'm like, who gives a fuck?
Zuckerberg is the exact same thing as Data from Star Trek. He's an android. They have to take look when it's time to age him. They have to take him in and do fucking work on his face and shit. That's why he don't hardly age.
Playing and he look weird. He look like he look buttery and shit. He look. I don't like that. Like he ain't got no hair on his body.
Yeah, that's a fucking android.
I don't subscribe to none of that shit. Like I can't think but so far because I'm trying to work on some other shit, some dreaming shit, some telepathy shit, some clairvoyancy shit. I feel like the women, especially the Virgo women, we got a job to do where like the job that you're doing, it comes together so well with the job that we're doing.
Do you know Virgo and Scorpio used to be the same sign? It used to be called Virgo Scorpio. When the enmity was placed between her seed and his seed, right? Because one of the aspects of Scorpio is the snake. When you go into the context of the script, it says that the enmity, the inequity is what that means, the imbalance is between the Scorpio and the Virgo, the divine feminine and the redeeming masculine. That's why he's the great backbiter, sting your motherfucking ass, because the Virgo maiden used to sit between the pincers of the Scorpio, and the Scorpio followed her around fighting off all her enemies, using his body as her shield.
Look, we something special, okay? I don't know what it is I'm gonna do in this world, but it's special.
So they play it out in the movie with the woman sitting on the big throne with the things coming over the top. That's the symbol for Scorpio protecting Virgo. Because the patriarchs waged war against the matriarchs, it created an imbalance between the male and the female. Because now the men want to subjugate the women, which automatically puts us in a disproportionate position between each other. The man that can remember what the problem is can fix it if he just stand in the position to tell the truth. Now, if you know how to do this shit and you manage your own business and your wife is truly in tune with you or your old lady, she will sit your ass out, all she needs is two sisters of equal value to your heart to agree. And the three sisters say, don't come back until you find seven sisters. This is the moon magic, three-phase moon, the three-phase maiden, right? Which is the girl, the maiden, and the old crone, right? And then you have the seven sisters, which is the seven lights of the Pleiades, the Pleiadian seal. That's a blue lodge knock. It's the seven big mamas that signs off on the seven seed to give him the power of the 7 times 7 times 7. It's the highest science. It's a zigzag flip off a crooked man flip. So my mama's mama got struck by lightning, and my mama's daddy was the seventh child. My mama was the seventh child to a mama that got struck by lightning, and a father who was the seventh child. I'm the seventh child to a mother who is the seventh child to a father who is the seventh child and whose mother was struck by lightning.
Hey, my mama got 7 kids too.
Hey, look, you start putting
Serious.
stuff together then.
Man, and that shit, especially in numerology, that's what niggas need to be doing. The numerology is crazy.
Your
Crazy.
children is your constellation. If you're a Pleiadian, you're going to have at least 7 children.
Don't put that on me. 7.
Look, it's the seal of the Pleiades. It's expressed out in the physical world, what we see in the sky, in the living reality. We don't know where to place it because we don't know what we're looking at. But when we remember what we're looking at, we adjust to the circumstance. Everything sounds horrible until after the fact. Shaw Pepsi Riley, thanks for my child.
7
If that's how many
kids.
you're supposed to have, just wish them to be healthy, happy, and worthy. That's it.
Right, I can't even get a text back when you talking about 7 kids. These niggas think I worship Satan. They think I'm
Who the
crazy. I
hell
can't
you
even get a
texting?
text back. But not a
That's
damn
why you can't
soul.
get a text back.
Yeah. Because shit is just, it's too much going on. Once you start understanding shit, you attract everything. Like, just like being divine feminine, being Virgo, like I really broke down everything. And like the number 9 is like my life. Feminine, all that. The number 9, I'm a 9 person. My dad's a Scorpio. He's November 19th. But we get along great, me and my dad. And I just been breaking down the numbers, the numerology, and the geometry of my life, and it's just like, holy fuck! Like it gets realer and realer. Like, and I've been doing this
And
for
ain't that,
years, so you know,
look, it
the
ain't that
shock
you
wears
can't get no
off.
text back. It's just that you can't text who you want to text because your ego in the way. You don't want them other motherfuckers texting you back in the first place. That's why you ain't texting them. Wonder why.
It ain't my ego. My ego ain't in the way. I just know I'm a god, and they be. I understand
Right.
who I am
So
a
my
little bit now.
message
So
3
it's
years
like,
ago was you 9-volt niggas better get your weight up before these 250-volt women short your ass out.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you, these men come from me. I'm not texting no motherfucking body. You niggas come from me. Men come from me. I come from y'all. We come together. And if you understand the divine feminine, then you understand how you play your part. Just like when you bring a house, a woman gonna make it a home. It's the same concept with
Multiply
courtship.
that.
Like, it's just I'll attract that. I don't be liking nobody. I don't know. It's just
That's what
different world now.
the problem be,
It's just
because you might start off being interested, and then you see something and be like, nope, that ain't it.
now what I realize is now spirit won't let a motherfucker get near me. Like I thought about it when I dated years ago and how long it took me to get get my mind right, see who a nigga is. Now it happens within minutes. You're done in minutes. Like my friends, they dragged me to the club the other night. I said, you know what? I'm gonna stop being isolated. I went out to the club. I was there for 30 minutes and I was looking at these motherfuckers like, we really in here jamming to murder music. Like, and these are the men. These are the men. This is what we have. And I'm just looking at these niggas like, we in here trying to catch a good vibe off murder music. You seen that nigga who did a video about that shit about murder music? And I was like,
Murder music
yeah, this is really
was
happening.
the tribe's call to war. But the problem is the dumb motherfuckers don't know who the enemy is because they can't see him. So they assume the enemy is the motherfucker next to him, and he ain't the enemy the whole time. The ops is down there laughing at your ass. That's what the purpose of it was.
This
See,
shit is sick.
the music is to talk to a generation of people, tell them what's going on. The young guys know we at war, but they don't know where the war is, so they don't know how to fight. And,
Banging on
right,
that
and then
808.
when the system realized what's going on, they didn't cut the youth off from the elders by telling them that we don't know what the fuck we talking about. We old and crazy. So now the youth don't want to listen to no old crazy motherfucker. So then go to incognito. What that song say? Old man sitting in the shade because he no longer want to play in this charade, right? And all the young guys was walking past the old dude with the keys to the kingdom, but they won't talk to him because he old, which is the very reason they should be trying to talk to him, because he old. He might have went through life and suffered so he can get one of them the keys to the kingdom, but they too motherfucking brainwashed to go and ask him, how you doing today, sir? What's the science for today? Let the old man spiel. When I was a little boy, I used to talk to all of the ones they called bums and paupers. That's just what I did. I want to know how you end up living in the shopping cart, pushing your life around in the shopping cart.
Nigga, I love them
Some of them
niggas.
stories is they wake up to the fraud, the whole charade, and quit. Man, playing that bullshit. I did a video
Man.
called Pauper Gods, right? Because a lot of people don't know that them people choose to be, rather than participate, they'll take the suffering, but that frees thousands of others of us from the suffering. They strong enough to take it, so they put themselves in the position to receive. And then the rest of us get the benefit of somebody being the release valve of the pressure and the buildup. So now we don't have to implode. That gives us a chance to figure out a solution to this conundrum. It's all about the balancing of the energy.
Yeah, I was reading something about that, about like the homeless people out there, like that are like schizophrenic, and how they're in another dimension, and like they are what's that shit called?
Hey, look, go on TikTok
It's
and
like
put in homeless man explains New World Order. You listening to this old
oh, you talking about the guy that was like fascism is capitalism is how did he put how did he say that shit? I think I know
mm-hmm.
you're talking about, this white
And he had
guy.
that they had that paint on his face
Yeah.
or soot. It looked like soot from
Hmm.
sitting around a fire all the time.
He was explaining how
He was telling them about the Bush
democracy.
family, the New World Order, and all that shit.
Yeah.
But you
And Dollar
gotta
Bill.
remember the reason why they selected Charles Manson is because he knew all that shit. Charles Manson was the first ones that warned us about them poisoning the water with fluoride.
His interviews
Look,
are
Charles
brilliant.
Manson was the first ones to tell us that they was trying to orchestrate a race war, and that they tried to hire him to create a race war against the blacks, and he refused to do it. He flat out said it. This is why they locked him up, because when he was in San Quentin, him and Joseph Sinque was trained by the guy who turned out to be Jim Jones from Guyana, best friend in mind control. Both of them went rogue. They was the two star pupils in the mind control class and handpicked to start the race war. The dirty Moors know if we don't wake up, we gonna slaughter everything that look pale. But we have to, right.
Oh, it's gonna be
So when
horrible.
Charles Manson exposed it, it became part of the wake up call. And so they trained Charles Manson and told him to get an army of white kids. And they told Joseph Sinque to get an army of black kids. And they were supposed to wage the war against each other in California. And it was supposed to spread from there around the world. But they both went rogue. Charles Manson began to tell the family that he was building that the government was plotting all this dirt, and they was poisoning the water with fluoride to make the people more docile, and they wanted to start a race war. And this is what the whole helter skelter uh, phenomenon was about. So when he started telling the kids and he refused to send them into the war, they said we had to get rid of him now. So they had to clean their mess up. So they sent Tex in there. Tex told him Charles wanted these people dead. Charlie ain't told nobody he killed nothing. But the only motherfucker that don't get no time turned out to be an FBI agent, the one that told him to do the killing. Right? Now, Joseph Sinque, on the other hand, started off Calvin DeFries. He started off kidnapping rich white kids because he said he wasn't finna send none of his people to do none of the dirt when he can use they people because they've been using our people. So instead of getting a group of black kids together to start a race war against Charles Manson and the family, he started kidnapping white kids, creating the Symbionese Liberation Army. This is how Patty Hearst got caught up. And then they educated her on the struggle, changed her name to Tanya, right? So her picture is her standing under the seven-headed cobra as Tanya. And so she got pardoned, I think, by Jimmy Carter for being a Manchurian candidate for Joseph Sinque. right? So they let her out of prison and she went on to live her life, but she already did what we needed her to do. She stood in that motherfucking bank with that motherfucking chopper. She was good after that. She ain't had to do nothing else. That's all we needed her to do. Stand in the bank with the chopper so they can see who the real enemy is.
Yeah, I watched a few of Charles Manson's interviews. That nigga knew a lot. I mean, he knew a lot, and that goes to show you how programmed we are when like you grow up thinking something a way about a person. And granted, not to get in, you don't never got to get into any details, but it's always about the message or the knowledge or the information that you're getting. Fuck who you getting it from and all the politics that come with it and all that other bullshit. The emotional aspect of it. It's the knowledge. And a lot of shit that nigga was saying was so crazy. He was just like, I'm an avatar. I'm not even really here. Like I'm playing a game here. This is fun. I jump in and out my body. I was like, oh, that
Look,
nigga knows something.
that motherfucker told Geraldo Rivera. Geraldo say, "Don't you want to be free? Don't you want to be out there in the free world like free people?" Charles Manson said, "Free out there?" He leaned in. He leaned in to Geraldo. He said, "I'm already out there. I'm in everybody's mind."
I mean, his interviews is classic. Like,
Hey, he told him.
damn.
He say, "You think this is Charlie? This ain't Charlie." He said they wanted to see an animal, so I'm act like an animal.
Man, and it should be so funny. Like, people always, especially these fake woke motherfuckers, they always be like, oh, you watch TV, you watch movies. This is when you understand what you're in right now. That's what it's about. Being yourself, being in this avatar, and being able to create the reality that you understand and that you want to be in. It has nothing to do with all the extra bullshit, all the emotional bullshit. It's almost like a childlike state of mind, like to just be as free in thought and in vibe and in frequency as certain people can be, even if they're deemed as heinous people or whatever. These people are sorcerers. They're time travelers. They're sorcerers. They are people that can tap into shit where they don't even. This is all a fucking game to them. That's what niggas need to be on before this shit start to really get crazy, because I seen this shit with my own eyes. People's hearts was fucking exploding. They was not able to process the information. They was not vibrating on the same frequency as the earth. The earth was shifting and the niggas wasn't, and I will never, it was almost like traumatizing to me to see the shit. Like people's hearts was exploding, especially people's that was, getting that, injection thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
Well,
the information
you
was
got to
shooting through the
frequency and vibration.
factor.
Most of the people that was browbeat under the fear campaign that took it out of fear shows you where their frequency is. Now, the ones that went back for a third time, they some goddamn fools. A lot of the ones in the first round only got saline. That second round and that third round is when they start saying they voluntary participants in this experiment, so let's give them the juice. That's where the problem came in. Like, some of them in the first batch got some shit, wasn't nothing major. But that second round and third round crew, they gave them the business. Them the ones they gave the business to. They the ones we got to figure out how we gonna fix this shit here. I'm not even looking into it until after the flip. Cause I got so much on my plate now. That's gonna take me down a wormhole of healing that is gonna to have me deeply absorbed. I'm not gonna be no good to nobody until I figure out the
You don't
problem.
think so?
I'm gonna be walking around in the trance all day, problem solving. I'm all up in the motherfucking 19th dimension. They see my body walking around down here.
Nah, no bullshit. No bullshit. I was I was astral projecting and I was hopping around this motherfucker like just hopping around, just lollygagging, and I seen something in mundane terms with a demon or whatever. And at first I was kind of terrified, and then we ended up hugging, and it was spirit be funny because I'm always on joke time. But spirit be funny, so like I was astral projecting, and I had ran into an entity that would look terrifying or whatever, like some Necronomicon shit, and like some HP Lovecraft shit, and I stopped studying the HP. I stopped studying the Necronomicon because it was like mad intense, and it was like, all right, oh shit, now I'm starting to let me step back. So when I dreamed about it was so funny how I was astral projecting, and I seen this beast, and then at the end of the whole shit, I'm like, make a left, make a right. I'm giving this nigga directions, like hugging this nigga, like
It was a
it's
message
the fear,
in
man.
there about
It's the
judging the book by its cover and allowing fear to block you from where love can guide you.
Well, it was was training myself to not be fearful. So what I was doing was like, if I would get real scared in a moment, I was really like reprogramming my mind that, none of it is real. And I was just trying to do that. So what I realized, I was only astral projecting during the day. And then when I got deeper into astral projection and sleep paralysis, and how sleep paralysis is just your body coming in and out of astral projection. Most people was having astral projection at nighttime, and then they were scared to astral project because they were seeing entities at night. And I said, well, why the fuck am I not astral projecting at night? Which I'm probably technically am, but consciously, why am I not doing it at night? So that was the first time I had went out at night to astral project, and I had seen it, but I was only scared for like it was like a whoa moment. I was only scared for like a second, and then I was like, so all that training myself in the 3D to not be scared, like can't shit scare me. Like I'm a serial killer's worst nightmare. I'm not gonna run. Hey, you're gonna kill, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what you gonna do? The worst thing you can do is gonna kill me, and I'm not gonna have to pay rent no more. Like, I put programs in my mind that even if they don't make sense or correlate with my current state of, reality, it's still a form of programming that people don't understand, that a lot of the shit that they be scared of in the moment of being scared, that nothing's ever happened to them. Like being scared of the dark or an entity your whole life is ridiculous, because ain't shit never happened to you. You just been scared the whole time. But nobody ever thinks, but ain't shit ever happened. Like you get into sleep paralysis and you start hallucinating out of fear. You're seeing entities and all that. Like, yeah, that's scary, but shit ain't never happened. You just keep going through another cycle of fear, and I don't know. I'll be talking about this shit
Well,
with you, man. That
so
shit's crazy.
that's why I say a
But
coward
that
dies 1,000 deaths, a soldier dies but once. See, the difference between a coward and a hero is some shit called courage, the ability to feel the fear and face it and conquer it. Go into battle regardless. I feel the fear of the unknown, but that ain't gonna stop me from chopping this motherfucker head off. We on the battlefield.
Somebody said you already don't have to pay rent. Try doing that. If you think I've been talking about this shit and you think I pay a motherfucking bill, you crazy
Hey,
in your goddamn head. I'll show y'all my bills right.
hey,
I don't know how them motherfuckers
we
get
about to be
paid,
cut
but
off in
I
about
don't pay them.
15 seconds. Mhm.
All right, well, I'm
All
out
right.
of here. I love you. It was nice